Everyone in the monitoring room was stunned silent. Zhou Haizhong, the man behind Zhou's conjecture that had stumped the mathematical world for over a decade. A professor at Sun Yat-sen University, a doctoral advisor, and a scholar who had published over 120 academic papers since 1981 across linguistics, mathematics, information science, and emerging interdisciplinary fields. He had been invited to lecture around the world and was universally acclaimed. He wasn't just a scholar, he was a legend. He was also Beishan City's pride, the first great mathematician to rise from its humble roots. So when Li Xueming compared a high school student, Qin Luo, to that Zhou Haizhong, the room couldn't believe what they were hearing. Leader, isn't that comparison a bit much? I agree Qin Luo is gifted, but Professor Zhou is a genius among geniuses. It's not even close. No one could deny Qin Luo's remarkable achievements, but to place him on par with Zhou Haizhong, Li Xueming gave a soft chuckle, shaking his head as if pitying their ignorance. 2 months ago, he began, Qin Luo was a bottom-ranked student, barely scraping past the minimum passing line. But now, 2 months later, he's breaking records in mathematical history. He's just getting started. His voice was calm, but the weight of his words stunned the room into silence. The atmosphere thickened. You could have heard a pin drop. In 2 months, from failure to prodigy, it sounded impossible, but they all knew Li Xueming didn't exaggerate. He wouldn't lie. What he said had to be true. Everyone had assumed Qin Luo was born a genius, a prodigy groomed from childhood. But now, he had only risen in the last 2 months. This defied everything they thought they knew. Gulp. One of the middle-aged judges swallowed hard and muttered, "A genius among geniuses." Even the word genius didn't quite capture it anymore. Then a sudden exclamation broke the silence. He started writing. Li Xueming's eyes widened. He rushed to the screen, gaze locked on the boy in the exam room. Was he really attempting to prove Zhou's conjecture? 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Qin Luo wrote nonstop. 1 draft page, 2, 3, and when he reached for the 4th, Li Xueming sprang into action. "Quick, get him more paper now," he barked. As a fellow mathematician, he knew this better than anyone. Inspiration is fragile. A single interruption could break the flow. If Qin Luo lost this moment, it might take years before the stars aligned like this again. The middle-aged judge didn't hesitate. Grabbing a thick stack of draft paper, he dashed to the exam hall. He tiptoed in like a man defusing a bomb, terrified to make a sound. Qin Luo, sensing movement, looked up. A wave of heat, breath, maybe nerves, washed over him. "Teacher, is something wrong?" he asked, blinking. In the monitoring room, Li Xueming's face paled. No, it's over." The state of flow had been broken. Li Xueming clenched his fists, voice trembling with fury. "Who authorized a rule of only 3 sheets of draft paper? Who? That's not regulation. It's murder. If he had just 2 more sheets, he might have solved it. He might have solved it." His voice echoed in the stunned room. And for the first time, everyone truly understood. A genius had appeared among them, and bureaucracy had nearly killed a miracle in the making. "Ahem, you're the one who said it, team leader." The room fell into an uneasy hush. Everyone in the monitoring room spoke in low voices, eyes flickering with fear. No one dared raise their head. Li Xueming's face darkened. For a moment he froze, then barked coldly. "You misheard. I said 30, not 3. Everyone exchanged glances, dead silent. Not a single soul believed him, but no one dared to challenge him either. Meanwhile, inside the examination room, silence reigned. Qin Luo blinked, confused. Across from him, the middle-aged invigilator stood frozen, eyes wide as if he'd seen a ghost. Qin Luo's sudden return to awareness had startled him so badly, he trembled from head to toe. Even just standing near him, the man could feel the waves of fury radiating from Li Xueming through the glass wall. His back was drenched in cold sweat. "Teacher," Qin Luo asked cautiously, "focus on solving the problem. Don't look around," the invigilator snapped, quickly setting down the stack of fresh draft paper and scurrying out of the room like a man escaping a lion's den. Standing in that room any longer felt like a death sentence. Qin Luo sighed inwardly. Seriously, could he not speak like a normal person? But there was no time to dwell on it. Solving problems was like writing. Once the train of thought derailed, it took time to get it back. It took 5 minutes of quiet focus before Qin Luo managed to reconstruct his thought process. Then, he's writing again. The cry echoed from the monitoring room. Everyone jerked upright. They'd almost given up hope. Just 5 minutes ago, they feared the interruption had shattered his momentum. But now he was back. Yes, his inspiration had been broken, but only for 5 minutes. Is he even human? Someone whispered in disbelief. Could he really prove Zhou's conjecture? A problem that had haunted the academic world for over 10 years. Maybe, just maybe, they were witnessing history. Hearts surged, eyes locked onto the screen, not daring to blink. Qin Luo had become the center of gravity in the room. Proof, 2-2-N. Clack. Qin Luo set down his pen and glanced around. Empty. The examination room was completely deserted. A glance at the wall clock. 5 p.m. The exam had gone an hour over. Qin Luo scratched his head, a bit embarrassed. Then he raised his hand. Finished. The invigilator hurried over, treating the test paper like it was a priceless relic. Student Qin, have you solved it? He asked gently. It should be solved, Qin Luo said humbly. He believed a true academic should always remain modest, especially when holding all the answers. The invigilator's fingers trembled as he took the paper, treating it like a sacred artifact. Teacher, if you lose it, I'll just write another copy, Qin Luo offered nonchalantly. The invigilator's eye twitched violently. Write another? Just how casually could this boy treat genius-level work? Then, boss, please have some tea. As soon as Qin Luo stepped out of the room, a chubby boy rushed up to him, holding a drink with reverence. Boss, let me shine your shoes. Boss, want a pendant? I've got one just for you. In an instant, students from Beishan No. 1 Middle School surrounded him like devoted fans around a rock star. What's going on? Qin Luo blinked in confusion. Sure, he was good-looking, but not this good, right? Boss, you don't know. Today's entire citywide exam was extended just for you. Yeah, Principal Lee said, and I quote, the exam ends when Qin Luo finishes. When will I ever be as awesome as you? Qin Luo could only smile faintly. As good as me? Sorry, you don't have a system. Work hard, he said with a smirk. Not that it'll help. You'll never catch up to this top student.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
In an instant, admiration turned into resentment, and Qin Luo's academic master value, like riding a rocket, soared upwards. In a blink of an eye, the 1,000 mark has been broken. Thank you. Just as Qin Luo was intoxicated by the beautiful notification sound of the system, a voice of thanks came into his ears. Lin Shanshan looked at him seriously. What the hell is going on? Even Qin Luo himself didn't understand. Thank you for your encouragement. I will work harder. After finishing speaking, Lin Shanshan turned around and left. She had no time to waste. She wanted to study. For a moment, everyone's eyes lit up. The boss is indeed a boss, and he speaks with such depth. Thank you, boss. Goodbye, big brother. In an instant, everyone disappeared. Encourage? Do I mean it? I do not know how. Alas, Bin Xueba has such a damn charm that has nowhere to rest. In the monitoring room, Qin Luo's test paper and draft paper have been delivered. Li Xueming led a group of math teachers to study carefully. Team leader, do you understand? Someone in the crowd asked. Understand? If I could understand, I wouldn't be here, and I would have gone to a university as a professor long ago. 6 or 7 out of 10. Li Xueming replied without blushing and out of breath. For a while, everyone gasped. As expected of being the team leader, I only understand 40% of it. So do I. The crowd joined in. Group leader, is Qin Luo right? Or wrong? The man asked again. You ask me. Who do I ask? Li Xueming felt bitter. As the leader of the Beishan City Mathematics Research Group, his strength was beyond doubt, but what he was demonstrating was Zhou's conjecture. This thing has troubled the mathematics community for more than 10 years. How could he know whether it was correct or not? Seal the answer and send it to Professor Zhou Haizhong of Sun Yat-sen University. He is the person who made the conjecture, and he has the most say. After thinking about it, Li Xiuming finally made a decision. Soon, Qin Luo's answer was sealed and sent to Yinjing overnight on a plane. Li Xiuming walked to the window and looked at the speeding car with a smile on his lips. Whether it is correct or not, Qin Luo's appearance is a miracle. In 2 months, from a scumbag to a top student, and then to a genius among geniuses, it is even possible to solve Zhou's conjecture. He has created a legend. The next day, the day of the announcement, there is no doubt that Qin Luo has a perfect score again, and it is the only one with a perfect score. Although the full score here refers to 30 points, it is also unique. Senior, how did you learn mathematics well? Do you have any learning experience? Can you teach me? Brother, there is no one at my house tonight. Brother Xueba, do you have a WeChat account? Can you add me? Super Xueba calls a lot of money. Are you sure you didn't propose with a lot of money? It's not impossible to propose marriage. The forum of Beishan No Middle School fell. WeChat circle of friends fall. Qzone fell. All kinds of information about Qin Luo filled it, and Qin Luo completely became a legend of Shulian. If 1 full score is said to be luck, then 2 full scores are not luck, but strength. What's even more frightening is that the number team changed the rules for Qin Luo again and again, which further highlighted Qin Luo's uniqueness. In the lounge of No Middle School, Huang Zitao, Wei Ziheo, and other high school students all looked ashen. What to do? Wei Ziheo's eyes were red. As the most outstanding student master in No Middle School, he never thought that he would lose, but the fact is that he lost completely. Do you really want to sing about conquest? Thinking of this, he was about to go crazy. Don't panic, we haven't lost yet. Huang Zitao gritted his teeth and said, there are 3 more trials, we still have a chance. In order to defeat Qin Luo, only he knows how much effort he has made. So until the last moment, Huang Zitao will never give up easily. Is there really a chance? A look of sadness flashed in Wei Ziheo's eyes. 4th lounge. Qin Luo, why didn't you come to the makeup class that was agreed upon? As soon as she stepped into the classroom, Lin Shanshan rushed over angrily. She clearly said to wait for him after school, but she waited left and right, but she didn't wait for Qin Luo. I don't know your home address. Qin Luo said helplessly. I don't know the address. Don't you know how to call? You didn't tell me the phone number. Lin Shanshan gritted her teeth. She was going crazy. I didn't tell you. Don't you know how to ask? What's your phone number? Collapse, complete breakdown. As a well-known school bully and school belle in No Middle School, she has never collapsed like this before. I shouldn't be angry. Don't be angry. People with high IQ have low EQ. Thinking of this, Lin Shanshan finally felt better. 1838. Remember my phone number? Lin Shanshan said viciously, then turned her head and left. Can you say it again? Lin Shanshan staggered and almost fell to the ground. She turned her head and glared at Qin Luo. 1838. Yinjing, Sun Yat-sen University. An old man with white hair and ruddy face is sitting in front of the window with a pot of green tea, a mathematics journal, and a picture scroll of sex. Zhou Haizhong, the proponent of Zhou's conjecture, a well-known mathematician in China, and a master who enjoys a special national allowance, even in the global mathematics community, cannot conceal his brilliance. What he is most proud of is proposing Zhou's conjecture, which has plagued the academic world for more than 10 years. But his biggest regret is also the same. A guess is a guess after all. Zhou Haizhong regrets every day that it is not proven. Dong dong dong. Old Zhou. Suddenly, someone knocked softly on the door. It was his student Su and Min's voice. Enter. Soon, a well-mannered man wearing gold-rimmed glasses walked in. He is not young, about 40 years old, with piercing eyes. Your hometown, Beishan City, sent an answer sheet, which is about proving Zhou's conjecture. Su and Min whispered. Oh, let it go. I'll watch it if I have time, Zhou Haizhong said, waving his hands. Since Zhou's conjecture was put forward almost every few days, there will be an answer sheet on the demonstration of Zhou's conjecture theory on his desk. One person counts the short and the other counts the long. Zhou Haizhong doesn't think he is number one in the world. He looks forward to someone who can prove this answer. 10 years have been like a day, from the very beginning when he opened the answer sheet with great interest and anticipation, until now he is too lazy to open it, because every time it is a disappointment. There are too many people daydreaming and wanting to become famous in one fell swoop. Teacher, you should read this answer sheet. I assure you that it is definitely not as bad as you imagined. Su Enlai said sincerely. Isn't your lifelong wish to prove Zhou's conjecture? Maybe this answer sheet will give you a satisfactory answer. Every time there is a big talk about Zhou's conjecture, Su Enlai will go through it first. He will eliminate most of the dross and leave the most essence and most inspiring answer sheet. But this answer sheet is different. He can't understand it. He was keenly aware that this answer sheet might be different. Staring into Su Enlai's eyes, Zhou Haizhong was silent for a while, and finally took the answer sheet in his hand. As a scholar, he still couldn't restrain his curiosity. Let me see what surprise Li Xueming brought me. Beishan No-Middle School? Qin Luo. Seeing this address, Zhou Haizhong gave a rare smile. That was his alma mater, but he had never heard of the name Qin Luo. Maybe it's a new teacher. Zhou Haizhong still looked down patiently and carefully. Tick-tick. The wall clock continued to run, and the time passed by every minute and every second. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes. Zhou Haizhong frowned, staring at the first page of the answer sheet motionlessly as if he had been cast in a freeze spell, without any intention of turning the page. Seeing Zhou Haizhong's appearance, Su Enlai slowed down his breathing, lowered his steps, and stood quietly aside. As he thought, this answer sheet was unusual. After another half an hour, Zhou Haizhong finally turned over the first page, and his speed became faster and faster. In a few minutes, he had already reviewed the entire answer sheet. Pump! Zhou Haizhong clapped his hands on the desk, his body trembling uncontrollably. Teacher, Su Enlai asked tentatively. Zhou Haizhong didn't speak. He just stared blankly at the answer sheet in front of him and murmured, Perfect, so perfect. This is the most perfect answer sheet he has seen so far. It has clear thinking, rigorous logic, and the method used is quite ingenious. Even he, the creator of Zhou's conjecture, can't find a single flaw. Smooth, unbelievably fluid. This is probably the key to prove the conjecture, the key to upgrade Zhou's conjecture to a theorem. If he doubted the thesis at first, now he has been convinced by it. If you want to give an evaluation, there are only 2 words: excellent. Great. Hearing the teacher's words, Su Enlai froze in place. Others don't know Zhou Haizhong's character, but as an assistant, he is really clear, tough, and will never admit defeat. Even academician Wang Xuetzai, he doesn't pay attention to him. But now, he praised him for being great. Book the ticket. I'm going to Beishan City. See Qin Luo. Zhou Haizhong said sharply. He really wanted to see what kind of person was the person who could demonstrate Zhou's conjecture so fluently. Teacher, the day after tomorrow Research Institute project is about to start. Do you see if the time to go to Beishan has been shifted? Su Enlai looked distressed. Then go tomorrow. You are going to attend the report meeting tomorrow. Zhou Haizhong's face was ashen, and he sighed deeply. Although he has achieved great success and fame, there are still some things that he can't keep aloof from. I really want to know who Qin Luo is, and I want to make a photocopy of the answer sheet and give it to Wang Xuetzai and Song Baogua. After speaking, Zhou Haizhong took out a pen and paper from the desk drawer and used the method on the answer sheet to calculate in detail. Stand up. Okay. Su Enlai took a deep breath, turned, and left the room. Wang Xuetzai, Song Baogua, academicians of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, enjoy special national allowances. At this moment, Su Enlai only felt that the answer sheet in his hand was heavy, But what this light and fluffy paper carried was the result of more than 10 years of hard work in the mathematics field. A world-class math puzzle may well be solved. The academic value contained in it is immeasurable. Beishan City, Middle School. The number 3 test is about to start. However, for Qin Luo, it was just a formality. In 10 minutes, Qin Luo had finished writing the answers, handed in the paper, and left the examination room. The 10 judges, except Li Xiuming, looked at each other in blank dismay. Looking at the 3-day number competition, apart from Zhou's conjecture causing a little trouble for Qin Luo, the other problems did not hinder him in any way. Without a doubt, it's full marks again. Li Xiuming personally reviewed Qin Luo's test papers in the marking room. No surprises, another perfect score. There was no surprise, everything seemed natural, and the marking teachers didn't even raise their eyelids. For them who have experienced the shocking waves, this little storm is nothing at all. The other party is a big cow who is likely to solve Zhou's conjecture. Isn't it normal to get a perfect score? Hey, I really don't know how that kid's head grew. How could he be so smart? Isn't it? Now I'm being asked to mark his test paper. I don't even bother to mark it. I just give a perfect score. This kid is really a pervert. For PM, the bell for the end of the exam rang on time, and a large group of scholars came out. This also means that the intense number competition has officially come to an end. Qin Luo stood at the door waiting patiently for Lin Shanshan, and today promised Lin Shanshan to be a tutor. As a pigeon that has been released twice, he does not want to do it a third time. The reason is simple. One pigeon is 1,000 yuan lost to Qin Luo. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eyes, he saw 2 familiar figures. Huang Zitao, Wei Zihao. At this time, they were bowing their heads and leaving the school quickly. Qin Luo's eyes lit up, and he directly stopped in front of them with a stride. Student Huang, classmate Wei, we meet again. What do you want to do? Huang Zitao's face turned gloomy, seeing that he couldn't escape Qin Luo. You seem to have forgotten one thing, Qin Luo said with a smile. Qin Luo, don't push yourself. Of course he knew what was going on, but he couldn't admit it. An inch? Qin Luo smiled disdainfully. As a top student, he doesn't know what it means to push an inch. It seems that classmate Huang wants to renege on his debt. Repudiation? Qin Luo's words were not concealed too much. Huang Zitao and Wei Zihao heard it, and the surrounding melon-eating audience naturally heard it too. In an instant, scorching gazes shot at Huang Zitao and Wei Zihao, and all kinds of sarcastic words instantly surrounded him. Isn't that the top student from Middle School? Why can't he get up now? Don't gamble if you can't afford it. It's a shame. If it were me, I would immediately find a crack in the ground and get in. In an instant, Huang Zitao's face flushed red, his whole body trembled uncontrollably, and the anger in his heart was burning. Qin Luo, you forced me. With a loud shout, Huang Zitao waved his fist and rushed towards Qin Luo. It is not only a schoolmaster, but also a black belt winner in Taekwondo. His punch is enough to knock down an ordinary person. Angry from embarrassment, Qin Luo raised his eyelids unnaturally. Angry from embarrassment, Qin Luo raised his eyelids unnaturally. He never expected that Huang Zitao would do it in public. Wait! Qin Luo suddenly shouted, and at the same time, he quickly took out his mobile phone, clicked on the essence of Taekwondo, and read it carefully. Hearing Qin Luo's words, Huang Zitao squatted on the spot, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. What? Do you want to beg for mercy? Although as a top student, he disdains to use force, but he does not deny that sometimes force is really easy to use. The host studies hard, and the master value +1. The host understands the essence of Taekwondo, and the level of Taekwondo is improved. LV1, 0 out of 10. After a crisp notification sound, Qin Luo added a Taekwondo skill column. Before he had time to think about it, Qin Luo hurriedly added the value of learning masters to Taekwondo. Upgrade, upgrade, congratulations to the host for reaching LV5 in Taekwondo. Expert level, equivalent to a 4th Dan Taekwondo black belt. As if enlightened, various moves about Taekwondo appeared in Qin Luo's mind instantly. Selling now? Looking at the scene in front of him, the gloom on Huang Zitao's face disappeared, replaced by that unscrupulous laugh. Haha, it's too late to learn Taekwondo now. Don't you realize? Even for a genius like him, it took him 2 years to practice Taekwondo. Qin Luo just started reading now. Was he in a hurry? He is not in a hurry now. He wants to see what kind of tricks Qin Luo can play. Huang Zitao sneered in his heart. Stupid, capitalized stunned. Everyone was dumbfounded. This shit, even if it was just a temporary hug. He didn't hug like this. Damn it. Did Qin Luo learn his brain badly? Can Taekwondo be learned by reading books? Huang Zitao is a black belt in Taekwondo, so it's no problem to be 1 against 2. Now Qin Luo will suffer. For a while, everyone was talking about it, and even smarter people had already quietly notified the school. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Qin Luo put away the phone, his eyes flashing brightly. Let Ben Xueba tell you what Taekwondo is. Saying that, Qin Luo opened his posture. Hey, you still look good. Huang Zitao smiled disdainfully, kicked his legs, and rushed forward quickly. High whip, lifting his right foot high. The instep hit Qin Luo's face directly. With 1 kick down, Qin Luo had to be kicked for concussion. Humph, aren't you a genius? Don't you get full marks? I would like to see if you're still so smart after the concussion. With this kick, Huang Zitao burst out in anger, without the slightest reservation. The instep was getting closer and closer to Qin Luo, and he was about to kick Qin Luo. The timid student has already covered his eyes. Qin Luo didn't rush and greeted him with a kick. The current Qin Luo is no longer the Qin Luo just now, and there is no need to back down. Pump! With a loud noise, a figure flew out of thin air for several meters, and then fell heavily to the ground. Heart-piercing screams resounded throughout the school. Huang Zitao sat paralyzed on the ground, his face distorted terribly. Pain, excruciating pain. It was as if a bone had been broken. My legs. Damn Qin Luo, I want you to look good. The roar shook the sky, waking everyone up from their dreams. Everyone was dumbfounded for a while. What the hell is going on with this Nima? Huang Zitao is the black belt winner of Taekwondo, but he was kicked away by Qin Luo 1 by 1. The full-level master versus novice village monsters not only did not destroy the dead, but was counter-killed. Do you know how to play? This can no longer be called nonsense, but this scene of the Arabian Nights happened before their eyes. Brother, give me a slap. I don't want to dream anymore. Wow. I'm not afraid that Xueba is educated, but I'm afraid that Xueba will fight. Mom, come out and see God. Ding, the host is proficient in Taekwondo, and the level has been increased by LV5. Ding, the host destroys the confidence of the scumbag with his profound knowledge, and the value of the master is plus 666. Ding, the host's force frightens the heroes, and the mastery value is plus 888. On the other side, Qin Luo was also immersed in excitement. Everyone has a martial arts dream in their hearts. Qin Luo didn't have this ability before, but now, everything is different. The piercing pain finally subsided. Huang Zitao stood up trembling all over. His eyes were full of scarlet. Impossible! This is impossible! How could he be blown away by a beginner like Qin Luo? There must be something wrong here. Qin Luo, I want you to look good. Huang Zitao's face was ferocious. He stared at Qin Luo firmly and rushed forward again. Stop! At this moment, a loud shout came from the school. Li Xueming, Chen Xuqing, Lin Tianxian, and other teachers rushed out angrily. Li Xueming is very angry. Who is Qin Luo? The #1 genius in Beishan City will soon be selected for the provincial team and participate in the National Math Federation competition. What's even more frightening is that if his theory about Zhou's conjecture is correct, then Qin Luo is likely to fulfill his promise and be admitted to Cambridge University. However, just such a genius among geniuses was beaten at the school gate, and it was still in front of him. Academic genius Qin Luo, beaten by the crowd. Scholar becomes a hooligan. Whose problem is it? Li Xueming can even imagine how the media will report tomorrow. Thinking of this, Li Xueming was furious. Huang Zitao, you are so brave to gather people to fight. Li Xueming shouted angrily in a cold voice. Gathering a crowd to fight? Huang Zitao's complexion was as ugly as if he had eaten a fly. If he was really beaten, then forget it. The point is that he didn't beat him at all, from the beginning to the end. He was always the one who was beaten. Teacher, listen to my explanation. It was Qin Luo who hit me. Huang Zitao shouted loudly. Qin Luo hit you. Chen Shuqing sneered. He knew exactly who Huang Zitao and Qin Luo were. Huang Zitao was a black belt winner in Taekwondo, while Qin Luo was just a good student. Even if two Qin Luo fight together, it is impossible to beat him. That's right. Huang Zitao gritted his teeth and said, if you don't believe me, you can ask the students around you. Okay. Li Xueming turned his head with a gloomy face. Let's talk about what's going on. Quiet, deathly quiet. No one spoke, not even a little movement. Everyone just watched silently, looking at the embarrassed Huang Zitao. Zihao, tell me. Huang Zitao almost gritted his teeth in anger. He turned angrily and looked at Wei Zihao with scarlet eyes. Wei Zihao glanced at Li Xueming cautiously, and his body shivered suddenly. No, I didn't see anything. Boom. Like a thunderbolt from the blue, Huang Zitao's head buzzed suddenly, and his face turned pale instantly. He never expected that his comrades, who were on the same front as him, would actually betray him. Wei Zihao. Enough. Before Huang Zitao could finish speaking, Li Xueming interrupted him sharply. His face was gloomy, and he said in a voice, gathering a crowd to fight, no school rules, one major demerit, stay in school for inspection. Mr. Lin, you have no objection to this treatment. No opinion, no opinion. Lin Tianxian smiled wryly and finally shook his head. Li Xueming, that's the leader of the Number Union and the Education Bureau, not to mention serious demerits. Lin Tianxian has to do it even if he is expelled. Make a big demerit and stay for inspection. Huang Zitao was completely stunned. He never thought that things would turn out like this. Obviously, it was Qin Luo who bullied him, but in the end he was punished instead. Thinking of this, Huang Zitao felt like dying. Qin Luo, wait for me. Gouging Qin Luo fiercely, Huang Zitao left the school without looking back. He didn't want to stay here for a second. Ding! The anger of the scumbags was detected. The mastery of the host is worth plus 99. Feather fans and scarves, while talking and laughing, the masts and skulls are wiped out in ashes. At this moment, everyone's eyes on Qin Luo changed. If they were just admiring Qin Luo's good grades in the previous moment, then at this moment, they admired his ability to turn clouds and rain. In just a few minutes, the entire battlefield was reversed. Not only was he unscathed, but even tortured Huang Zitao so painfully. Xueba is indeed worthy of being a Xueba, whether it is in studies or in fighting. Ding! Lin Shanshan was detected. Ding! Peng Hua was detected. Ding! Ding! Swipe. Looking at the system prompts that passed by, Qin Luo was filled with emotion. The students are really friendly. In the Emerald Garden community, standing at the gate of the community, Qin Luo looked up and felt emotional. This community is worthy of the name of garden. The entire community has a green area of more than 60%. Moreover, this is a prime location close to the commercial district of the city. One can imagine the cost of building a community with such a high green area in such a place. Only the so-called elite can afford to live here. Qin Luo always knew that Lin Shanshan was rich, but he never expected that she was a rich woman. Rich woman, do you still need pendants? Don't look at me with such eyes. The money is my mother's and not mine. As if sensing Qin Luo's strangeness, Lin Shanshan spoke first. It's as if you're not his daughter. Qin Luo shrugged and said indifferently, can you speak well? Resentment from a scumbag, plus 111. Student Lin, you may not believe me when I tell you, I have no intention of asking for your mastery value. Walking into the community, took the elevator upstairs, and before Lin Shanshan could draw out the key, the door of the room was already open from the inside. A fair-skinned and beautiful woman came out. Bohemian floral dress, looks like a housewife. Her eyes turned back and forth on Qin Luo and Lin Shanshan, her eyes revealing excitement. Boyfriend? The corner of Qin Luo's mouth twitched. He was not a boyfriend, but a male teacher. Yang Peishan, can you have a good job? Lin Shanshan became angry all of a sudden. Which eye did she see that Qin Luo was her boyfriend? Oh no, the woman's face darkened at first, and then she became serious. Shanshan, it's not that my mother said you. You are already in the 3rd year of high school, and it's time to find a boyfriend. You know, in this resource in a scarce society, cow dung is also limited. If you don't insert it, someone else will insert it. Haha, this job doesn't look good. Qin Luo was secretly vigilant in his heart. As a top student, he had to protect himself at all times. Yang Peishan, shut up. You little brat, you're out of your league. How dare you talk to your mother like that? You don't want pocket money next month, do you? Facing Lin Shanshan's threat, the woman was not afraid at all, with her hands on her hips, and sternly yelled, "Get out!" Lin Shanshan gritted her teeth, turned around, and rushed to the attic. Stupid, capitalized stunned. Qin Luo just froze in place. No, shouldn't the script drag me along? Silence, still silence. Qin Luo stared at Yang Peishan like this. In the end, Qin Luo couldn't help it anymore. Ms. Yang, my name is Qin Luo, and I'm here to teach Lin Shanshan. Oh, tutor. Yang Peishan jumped up suddenly, with a smile on her face again. Hee, Mr. Qin, please come in quickly. I made you laugh. Our Shanshan is like this, no matter how big or small. Yang Peishan asked with a smile while getting out of the way. By the way, how old is Mr. Qin this year? Have a girlfriend yet? Her eager look seemed to be eager to sell Lin Shanshan. What a real mother. Qin Luo smiled, but didn't answer. He just came to be a tutor, and he didn't think about having a girlfriend at all. Mr. Qin, what do you think of our Shanshan? Bang! Just as Qin Luo retreated in his heart, the door on the 2nd floor was opened again, and Lin Shanshan rushed down with a hop. Pulling Qin Luo, he rushed upstairs. The door was closed again, completely isolating Yang Peishan. Crack! A compulsory mathematics textbook was thrown in front of Qin Luo. Let's get started, Lin Shanshan said, and as she spoke, Lin Shanshan pressed the clock. Is it necessary? As a top student who has perfect scores in the system exams every time, a compulsory textbook for the 3rd year of high school is as simple as eating and drinking for Qin Luo. But before that, he has one more thing to do. Show me your previous exam papers, Qin Luo said. Without speaking, Lin Shanshan took out a stack of test papers from the bookcase next to her and placed them in front of Qin Luo. You heard me right, it's just a big stack, roughly 200 sheets. It seems that I made a wrong decision. Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. Patiently flipping through the test papers, the corners of Qin Luo's mouth twitched again. The scores obtained for each test paper have never been lower than 140, and there are even many full-score test papers. Call. Qin Luo picked up a pen and began to draw on the test paper, marking the points of knowledge she hadn't mastered. It stands to reason that these things should be summed up by Lin Shanshan herself. But now that he is a teacher, Qin Luo still wants to do his best work. If nothing else, he wants a salary of 200 yuan for this class. In this way, the time passed by every minute and every second, and an hour passed in the blink of an eye. Hundreds of test papers were finally compiled into 10 pages of essence. From the idea of solving the problem, to how to solve the problem, to finally summarizing how to avoid mistakes, Qin Luo meticulously went through every step. Do you understand? Qin Luo asked. I'm not a fool. Of course I can understand. Lin Shanshan gave Qin Luo a blank look and said impatiently, Isn't it just a summary? What a big deal. Even without you, I can do it. But she still picked up the notebook and read it carefully. In the next second, the impatience on her face disappeared, replaced by meticulous seriousness. Easier said than done. Qin Luo's information is not only a collection of wrong knowledge points, but also a method of solving problems, ideas. The most frightening thing is that he can use 3 or more methods to make each knowledge point, and it is easy to understand, so that people can understand at a glance. The more she looked at Lin Shanshan, the more frightened she became. And at the end, she couldn't help exclaiming, "Can this problem be solved in this way? If it wasn't for scaring you, I could use 10 kinds." Qin Luo smiled faintly, full of complacency. Didi. At this moment, the clock made a short chime point 2 hours. Time is up. It wasn't until this time that Lin Shanshan came to her senses. 2 more hours, Lin Shanshan said without raising her head. Add 2 hours. Are you my computer? How long do you want to go? The price of each class is doubled. Sensing Qin Luo's strangeness, Lin Shanshan added, double. In other words, 600 per class. Scary. No time. Qin Luo said something and opened the door directly. 1 minute, 2 minutes. After several minutes in a row, Lin Shanshan didn't move at all. Miscalculation. Qin Luo's heart was bleeding. Lin Shanshan's silence in the room was completely different from his script. What about the 3 visits to the thatched cottage? What about the good money? Why did you call the price once and then stop calling? Lin Shanshan clenched her teeth. It was the first time in a long time that someone rejected her, and it happened again and again. Isn't it just learning better? What a big deal, hum? At the door, Qin Luo declined Yang Peishan's invitation to stay for dinner and opened the door directly. And many more. Ms. Yang Peishan took out a bunch of keys expressionlessly and put them in front of Qin Luo. This is the key to the room. Come here often when you are free. Key. Cough, cough. Is this really my mother? This problem is quite serious. Okay? I'm afraid it's not good. Oh, there are more than a dozen cameras installed at home, and there are basically no dead spots. Yang Peishan shrugged her shoulders and said indifferently, "Of course, if you feel that your privacy has been violated, you can bring it up to me." Haha. More than a dozen monitors still spoke so indifferently. Lin Shanshan's mother was even more ferocious than a scourge. Yinqing University, the #1 university in China, is the dream palace of countless Chinese students, the sacred place in the hearts of parents and the goal of teachers. Wang Xuetzai, a professor at Yinqing University, an academician of the National Academy of Sciences of China, and a master in the field of mathematics, once won the Hua Luogang Award, known as the Fields Award of China. He is one of the most outstanding mathematicians in China. At this moment, on his desk, there is an answer sheet and hundreds of draft papers. This records the process of Zhou's conjecture demonstration. It has been 2 days since I got this answer sheet. During these 2 days, Wang Xuetzai hardly closed his eyes. Hundreds of draft papers and dozens of used pencil leads are the answer sheets he handed in. At this moment, Wang Xuetzai's face was flushed red. His bloodshot eyes were shining with excitement, and his whole body was trembling uncontrollably. Starting today, Zhou Haizhong's name will be recorded in the history of mathematics. Zhou's conjecture has finally been proved. It will be sublimated from a conjecture to a theorem. Prepare the car. I'm going to see Zhou Haizhong. In the office of the Vice President of the Yinjing Mathematics Research Society, academician Song Baohua is leaning over his desk at the moment. His eyes are bloodshot, his hair is unkempt, and black ink stains can be seen everywhere on his clothes, as if he has not closed his eyes for several days and nights. In fact, it was true. Like Wang Xuetzai, he hadn't closed his eyes for 2 days and 2 nights. In the past 2 days, except for eating and going to the toilet, he spent almost all of his time on demonstrating conjectures. Finally, after rigorous demonstrations, the accuracy of the answer sheet was finally proved. With the answer sheet in front of him, he perfectly proved Zhou's conjecture. Song Baohua spent 2 days and checked it countless times without finding the slightest mistake. Zhou's conjecture, this problem that has plagued the mathematics community for more than 10 years, has finally been proved. Song Baohua got up suddenly and slapped his hands heavily on the desk, making a loud noise. "Oh, teacher!" Song court. The next moment, the door of the office was pushed open heavily, and a group of young people rushed in. Some of them are students of Song Baohua, and some are staff members of the Association of Numbers. Song Baohua, you're the vice president of the Data Federation Research Association. His every move affects the hearts of too many people. Song Baohua has not left the office for 2 days in a row, and even has lunch delivered to the door. This has to make them nervous. Stand up. Fortunately, Song Baohua finally came out. Prepare the car. I'm going to see Zhou Haizhong. Song Baohua said eagerly. He couldn't wait. He wanted to see Zhou Haizhong soon. Ahem. Teacher, it's getting late. Why don't we go after dinner? The young student asked tentatively. Eat, eat, eat. You know how to eat all day long. And if you spend your eating time on academics, you won't even be able to prove Zhou's conjecture. Song Baohua was burning with anger, and his bloodshot eyes gleamed coldly. Cold glow. For a moment, a group of masters and doctors were so terrified that they didn't even dare to vent their breath. If Zhou's conjecture was so easy to prove, it wouldn't have troubled the academic world for more than 10 years, everyone said in their hearts. As if aware of the abnormality of the crowd, Song Baohua's face became gloomy again. His cold eyes scanned the crowd, and he scolded coldly. Humph! A high school student can prove Zhou's conjecture, but you doctors can't prove it. You should think about it. After all, he left the office without saying a word. A high school student proved Zhou's conjecture? For a moment, everyone's eyes widened, and their eyes were full of horror. That's Zhou's conjecture. Zhou's conjecture, which stumps the mathematics world, is not elementary school mathematics. Wang Xuetzai, Song Baohua, Zhou Haizhong, and even a series of foreign experts in mathematics are helpless against Zhou's conjecture. How can a high school student prove it? Brother, what the teacher said is not true, is it? Probably not. After all, that's Zhou's conjecture. The young man thought for a while and said, I think it's really possible. After all, the teacher's temper doesn't seem like a joke. Another young man said, Song Baohua is not a person who likes to joke. Everyone was startled, looked at each other, and chased after Song Baohua. Not only Song Baohua was very curious, but they were also very curious. What kind of high school students can solve the problems that have plagued the mathematics world for more than 10 years? Full score, still full marks. When the final result of the number couplet was presented to everyone, they were not surprised at all. Because Qin Luo is a top student, he should be like this. Beishan No Middle School. The auditorium was decorated with lights and festoons, filled with a grand and festive atmosphere. Relevant leaders and professors from the Municipal Bureau of Education and the Association of Number Federations came to the scene in person, and they will present awards to Qin Luo and other student masters. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the award ceremony officially opened. First, Su Xiangyang, the director of the Jiangzhou Education Bureau, gave a speech. Then Li Xiweming, the leader of the Data Federation, gave a speech, and then Qin Luo and several award winners came to the stage to accept the awards. To Qin Luo's surprise, Huang Xing and Lin Shanshan won the second prize, having the minimum qualifications to go to the provincial team and go to the whole country. Qin Luo stood on the stage, holding the glass trophy in his left hand and the 3,000 yuan bonus in his right hand. As the champion, he was asked to speak. I just want to say one thing. This is the first time and the last time I stand here. We will go further in the future. Thank you. The audience burst into warm applause. Chun Shuqing and other Beishan No middle school teachers were very pleased, and Qin Luo's parents were even more proud. For a long time, Qin Luo has been the tail of the crane, but now he has grown into other people's child. After the brief award ceremony, there was the provincial team departure ceremony. Qin Luo and a group of winners of the second prize and above were invited to participate in the provincial team. Prepare for the national competition in a week. The opportunity is rare, and no one refuses it. A red invitation letter was distributed to everyone with an air ticket attached to it. One day later, they will go to Chengdu and Chongqing. As soon as he received the invitation letter, the system's notification sound came as promised. Ding, the host has unlocked the achievement, the champion of the number league, and rewards the master with 999 points. Please continue to work hard on the host. 999 points. Qin Luo only felt comfortable physically and mentally. Because of the upgrade of Taekwondo 2 days ago, Qin Luo's academic mastery value has bottomed out, and now he has finally regained his blood. Host, Qin Luo. Age, 17. Mathematics LV4 0/10,000. Chinese LV1. English LV1. Physical LV1. Biological LV1. The remaining Xueba is worth 2,387 points. It is still 7,316 points away from the upgrade. Just as Qin Luo was thinking hard about how to earn master points, a new task had been released. Ding! The task is released. The provincial team shows off. The host pleased win the gold medal with an overwhelming posture. Reward: top scholar worth 10,000. 10,000. Tens of millions. Points of experience. Qin Luo's eyes widened. If he wins this 5 learning master value, he can raise his math ability to level in one go. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have the gold medal. The next day, when the first ray of sunlight in the morning poured into the window, Qin Luo's eyes had already been opened. 10 minutes by bike to the school. A bus is already parked on the side of the road. Seeing Qin Luo coming, Chun Shuqing quickly stuck out his head from the car. Hurry up and get in the car, ready to go. The ticket is at 9:07 a.m., and it is already past frowny face am, and the time for the plane to take off is getting closer. Qin Luo nodded obediently. 5 minutes later, a bus full of talents from Beishan City sped away. The plane took off on time at 9:02 and arrived at Chengdu Chongqing International Airport 2 hours later. Qin Luo and his group of 5 people were arranged to go to Chengdu Chongqing University. It will be another round of challenges to meet them. There are a total of 45 talented academic masters in each urban area, and it is necessary to determine the most powerful winner among them to participate in the national competition in 5 days. Keep calm during the exam and don't worry. Don't be afraid. I believe that there is no problem in passing the semifinals with your strength. Chun Shuqing patiently did ideological work for everyone. After finally getting to where he is today, he was worried that Qin Luo and the others would collapse psychologically. Mr. Chun, you have said this sentence 8 times. Qin Luo waved his hand indifferently and said, "Worry. As the owner of the system, he has nothing to worry about." Chun Shuqing's face was dark, and he was a little upset. This is all the experience I have summed up in previous exams. It is a magic weapon in the exam room. The mentality in the exam room is the most important. 9 times. This time, Qin Luo did not speak, but patiently listened to Chun Shuqing teach the magic weapon. About half an hour later, just as Chun Shuqing was still thinking about it, everyone's mobile phones rang at the same time. Please gather in the school auditorium after 10 minutes. Finally able to stop listening to Chun Shuqing's nagging, Qin Luo got up suddenly and then fled out of the lounge like lightning. The few remaining people looked at each other and rushed out one after another. "Ms. Chun, let's go gather first." Lin Shanshan's crisp voice came from afar. No one likes nagging, and they are no exception. Chengdu Chongqing University is the most prestigious college in Southwest Province, and all the students who can stand in this college are all at the top level. The college auditorium is an old building built in 1898. After years of vicissitudes, it gives birth to a breath of time out of thin air. This is the background of history and the traces of the years. Standing here, it seems to have returned to the autumn of 1898. 10 minutes later, Qin Luo stepped into the auditorium. In the eyes, there are clearly distinct seats, which have been arranged as an examination room. It is not flowers and applause that greets a group of top students, but countless exam questions. "You're Qin Luo, right?" Suddenly, an angry voice came from behind Qin Luo. Turning around, a man walked over. This man was wearing an inappropriate suit and glasses with gold-rimmed glasses. He looked refined. Even Qin Luo had to admit that, in terms of looks alone, this person already had half of his looks. Qin Luo asked, "You are?" "Bai Chong, from Chiuno Middle School." The man smiled and said, "I've seen your grades. They're pretty good." Qin Luo smiled and said modestly, "Thank you for the prize." "There is no need to be humble." The man shrugged his shoulders and said, "No matter how good your grades are, there's only one champion in this competition, and that is me." "Hey, it's a competitor." Qin Luo's eyelids twitched, and he said with a smile, "So you are my opponent?" "That's right, but you're wrong about one thing. You're not my opponent." After leaving these words, the man turned around and walked away. Looking at the back of the man leaving, Qin Luo was stunned. He had seen someone pretending to be aggressive, but he had never seen such an aggressive one. Isn't he afraid of blowing the roof off? Dingling bell. The short bell rang, and the exam was about to begin. At 1.55 minutes, the invigilator began to read the test rules. The rules are very simple. You have to complete the answer sheet in 3 hours. During the answering process, you are not allowed to look around or go to the toilet. You are allowed to hand in the test paper after half an hour of the test. The test paper and draft paper will be distributed. After reading the test rules, the test papers were quickly distributed to everyone. The test paper is divided into 3 questions. In the first question, let A and B be 2 points on the hyperbola xy/2 equals z. Point n, 1, 2, is the midpoint of line segment AB, and the perpendicular bisector of line segment AB intersects the hyperbola at 2 points CD. Please determine the value range of z. Damn it. Should it be so difficult? Teacher, you want to play us to death, don't you? I don't know how to answer the coach question. Just seeing the first question, the entire auditorium was filled with wailing. This question seems to be very short, but the knowledge used is extremely rich. It covers almost all the knowledge points in the whole high school. Even though all the people here are at the level of academic masters, they still scratch their heads when they got this question. Difficult. It is too difficult. Hey, who came up with this question? Isn't this just to scold you? Qin Luo saw through everything at a glance. Without much hesitation, he just picked up his pen and started working. Let the equation of AB be y equals k, x1 plus 2, bring into the hyperbolic equation. Then the value range of z is -1, 0, u, 0, plus infinity. Qin Luo frantically wrote down the process of solving the problem. Up to now, he only spent 3 minutes. 10 points to get it done. Qin Luo let out a long sigh of relief, burning many brain cells to death. After checking that it was correct, Qin Luo raised his head and looked around. A boy on the left was trembling all over, and a girl on the right was biting a pen holder and sweating profusely. Where Qin Luo looked, there was no one writing. Is it really that difficult? Qin Luo didn't think so. Suddenly, out of the corner of Qin Luo's eyes, he saw Bai Chong sitting in the corner. Unlike others who are thinking hard, Bai Chong is writing hard. A black gel pen drew beautiful arcs in his hand, and the next moment, the answer was already on the paper. In being able to become a top student in Qin Middle School, you really have 2 talents. But Qin Luo didn't care. Bai Chong had 2 brushes, but he had dozens of them. What surprised Qin Luo was that Lin Shanshan was also writing quickly. Well, it seems that I do have the potential to be a teacher. In just a few days, I turned a scumbag into a top student. Suddenly, Qin Luo felt his eyes dim and looked up. Hold the grass. There is someone. I saw an invigilator wearing a Chinese tunic suit with a serious expression staring at me intently. Those scorching eyes seemed to melt him in the next second. What are you looking at? Do the questions quickly. Feng Huadong said coldly. Feng Huadong, the invigilator this time, is also the president of the Southwest Provincial Number Federation Association. Teacher, to scare people is to scare people to death. Scared you to death? You almost scared us to death. Feng Huadong thought to himself. Zhou conjectured that a problem that had plagued the mathematics world for more than 10 years was actually solved by a high school student. When he heard the news, he was almost frightened to death. No one would have thought that a student who was still in high school could prove Zhou's conjecture. I scare you to death. Haha, funny. Hurry up and do the questions. Feng Huadong snarled, turned around, and left. Are all the current invigilators so fierce? Qin Luo shook his head and devoted himself to solving the problem again. A few minutes later, Qin Luo started to write again. Damn it, why is it so difficult? In the corner of the auditorium, Bai Chong held his head in his hands, his face livid. He answered the first question very smoothly, and it only took half an hour to solve the answer. But when he saw the second question, he was stunned. What the hell is this? Positive integer column. N equals 1 and plus 1 equals an N1, an N, and a plus N, and less than or equal to N. Find the minimum positive integer so that N equals 2016. Bai Chong was about to collapse. He thought that the retest questions would be difficult, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult. This is beyond the content of high school. Okay? Can anyone do this kind of problem? Bai Chong looked up at Qin Luo. He wanted to see how much Qin Luo weighed. However, the next moment his eyes widened. I saw Qin Luo holding a gel pen in his hand and writing vigorously. Damn it, it's impossible. Bai Chong's eyes widened suddenly, full of disbelief. How could this guy Qin Luo draw a pen? Bai Chong was completely stunned. Originally, he was much more confident than Qin Luo, but now Qin Luo is writing furiously. Impossible, he absolutely wrote it randomly. He couldn't get it right. Bai Chong shook his head desperately and refocused on the answer sheet. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. His eyes were suddenly clear, and he found a way to solve the problem. Before he had time to think about it, he quickly picked up the pen and started writing. In just half an hour, he had already solved the answer. Fight with me. You're still a little tender. Bai Chong raised his head. A smug smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. In just 1 hour, he has already solved 2 problems, which can also be ranked first in the history of Shulian. Unfortunately, the next moment, the smile on the corner of his mouth froze on his face. Teacher, hand in the paper. Qin Luo raised his hand and said, "It has to be said that this set of test papers is very good. Even though Qin Luo is now as high as LV4, it is still difficult to solve the questions. It took Qin Luo nearly an hour to figure out the answer. For other people, this is simply impossible. But unfortunately, it met Qin Luo. As for Qin Luo is determined to win the gold medal this time. Carry out an assignment?" This sentence was like a thunderbolt from the blue sky that suddenly shocked everyone. Such a difficult topic. To hand in the paper in just 1 hour? All eyes were on Qin Luo for a while. "Brother, are we doing a set of test papers? Can everyone still have fun?" Ding! I caught Bai Chong's resentful Xueba value, plus 36. Ding! I caught Su Hui. You probably won't believe me when I tell you. I never thought of draining it. You. Qin Luo looked at everyone, full of helplessness. Qin Luo, you have to think about it clearly. This is the provincial team. Everyone here is a master. Once you hand in the papers ahead of time, there is no chance to do it again. Feng Huadong smiled and narrowed his eyes. I've checked everything twice, and there's nothing wrong with it. Qin Luo replied. Since you insist on this, then fine. Feng Huadong didn't insist. He really has nothing to say about a young genius like Qin Luo who can prove Zhou's conjecture. Thank you, Teacher Feng, for understanding. Qin Luo got up and walked outside the examination room. 25-1 with 24 left. For a moment, everyone became tense. The question that could be completed in 3 hours was abruptly advanced by Qin Luo by 2 hours, which made them extremely nervous. Ma Dan, hand in the paper 2 hours ahead of time, and pretend to be a criminal. Another student bully from Qin Middle School bit his pen cap and frowned. Qin Luo is absolutely impossible to answer the 3rd question. Looking at Qin Luo's leaving back, Bai Chong sneered in his heart. Like Qin Luo, he got full marks in the city-level joint exam. Everyone's level is about the same. Why can you hand in the paper 2 hours in advance? There's only one answer. That is, Qin Luo didn't finish it at all. It turned out to be a silver wax-tipped gun, which looks useless, really disappointing. However, he thought so, but some people didn't think so. Damn it, I'm not going to do it. The Dazhou City Number League contestant roared. Then his eyes went dark, and he fainted to the ground. Doctor! Feng Huadong suddenly looked anxious, pushed open the door, and shouted loudly. Soon a group of medical staff rushed in. The first aid was first aid, the stretcher was carried by the stretcher, and the fainted students were quickly sent out of the auditorium. Compared to the school's panic, the contestants were much quieter. They have long been familiar with this kind of thing. Every year, 1 or 2 people faint during the city-level entrance examination, let alone the provincial entrance examination. Outside the auditorium, looking at the students being carried out, The corners of Qin Luo's mouth twitched again. Originally, he thought that people who could enter the provincial team should have good psychological quality no matter what, but he didn't expect that only 1.5 hours later, one would be carried out. With this kind of psychological quality, you also want to participate in the national competition? It's funny to think about it. Teacher Feng, is this student okay? Qin Luo kindly stepped forward to ask. Hurry up, boy, go as far as you can. Feng Huadong turned his head and gave Qin Luo an angry look. It was this kid's coquettish operation that stimulated other people, and then some people fainted. Blame me. It's not that Qin Luo has never seen a person who turns his face and denies him, but he has never seen someone who turned his face so quickly. After giving Feng Huadong a blank look, Qin Luo left the examination room. Look, someone has come out. At the door, a group of older young women were looking forward to it. They are the family members of the contestants. Most of them are locals from Chengdu and Chongqing, and there are also journalists carrying cameras. The purpose of their coming here is also very simple, to interview first-hand information. Provincial Mathematics League, the province's top mathematics competition. Countless scientists and scholars come from here. Among them are likely to produce people who change the world. Student, are the exam questions difficult this time? While speaking, a microphone was handed to Qin Luo's mouth. If you raise it any higher, it will touch my nose. Qin Luo shrugged. It's pretty simple. Simple? This is not a standard answer. Shouldn't you say that some questions are difficult, and then how to work hard to overcome it? Then you must have good grades, classmate. 2 months ago, I was still at the end of the crane. The reporter's eyes lit up, and his eyes shone with excitement. You must have studied very hard in the past 2 months. The reporter asked excitedly. Well, in order to improve my grades, I have to read more than 20 books every day. Everyone froze in place for a moment. The script wasn't written like this. Can you follow the normal routine? Read 20+ books a day. Is that reading? That's just playing around. Seeing no one talking, Qin Luo said with a smile, Do you think it's easy to be a top student? You must be very tired. The reporter's eyes lit up. Being a top student is actually quite easy. Quite easy. Everyone looked at each other in blank dismay, and the enthusiasm in the eyes of the reporters disappeared without a trace. No wonder I handed in the papers so quickly. It turns out I'm just a scumbag. No wonder I handed in the papers so quickly. It turns out I'm just a scumbag. It made me nervous for nothing. I just wondered why anyone could hand in the papers ahead of time, even if my son didn't come out. Who is your son? Bai Chong. A group of older young women exclaimed one after another, their eyes full of envy. Bai Chongna is a well-known top student in Qingyu. At this moment, a pair of medical staff walked out slowly, supporting a student. After emergency treatment, the student has come to his senses, but he can no longer continue the exam. Seeing a new prey, the reporters immediately lost interest in Qin Luo. This kind of scumbag, whoever likes to interviews, anyway they don't interview. Student, what's going on here? Are you feeling unwell? He pointed his gun at the student. By the way, have you finished your test paper? In an instant, his face darkened. He wanted to finish it, but he couldn't. He ignored the reporter's questions, broke free from the nurse's support, and walked straight to Qin Luo. He asked sincerely, Xueba, please accept me as an apprentice. Reporter, parents. What's happening here? Isn't he a scumbag? All of a sudden, everyone was dumbfounded. Their eyes widened, and they looked at Qin Luo in disbelief. From a scumbag to a top student, the plot doesn't have such twists and turns. Student, what's going on here? The reporter asked with a confused face. He's finished, the injured student said seriously. Even finished the 3rd question. It turned out that, taking the opportunity of being carried out, he secretly glanced at Qin Luo's test paper, and he clearly saw that Qin Luo's test paper was full of answers. The one who can sit there is already a top student, and the one who can write is already a top student among the top students. What is it that can finish writing? Learn God. After finishing, shouldn't it be normal? You are the top students in every urban area, okay? Student, isn't it normal after finishing the answer? Normal? The difficulty of the exam questions this time is more than 10 times that of the usual ones. It is impossible for anyone to complete them. He said again in a surprising way, "The 7 bridges theory." "Student, are you sure?" "Very sure." The boy nodded. Although he was dizzy at the time, he absolutely believed in his eyes. Quiet, deathly quiet. In an instant, the originally noisy scene suddenly became terribly quiet. Everyone stared at Qin Luo with wide eyes in disbelief. A moment later, there was a burst of exclamation like a tsunami. "Calm and calm. Maybe this is the correct way to open up a schoolmaster. Student, please allow me to give you an exclusive interview." Like a drop of water dripping from a hot oil pan, a group of reporters exploded in an instant. They rushed forward desperately, trying to pass the microphone to Qin Luo's mouth. "Impossible, absolutely impossible. What kind of a schoolmaster is he?" "Only my son is a schoolmaster." Bai Chong's mother blushed and shouted hoarsely. As the best student in the best high school in Qingyu City, he has absolute confidence in Bai Chong. No one can surpass Bai Chong, not even Qin Luo. Jingle bell. Suddenly, a short bell rang. Immediately afterwards, a large group of contestants came out, and the 3-hour answer sheet time was up, and everyone handed in their papers. It's over. How can the third question be so difficult? Let's not talk about the third question. The first question is so difficult that it's scumbag. I wrote the proof process blindly. It all depends on why. The second question can be solved a little bit, and the third question is directly blank. The Beishan City representative team, with a nervous look on their faces, said as they walked, "By the way, Qin Luo, you should have finished handing the papers ahead of time, right?" Huang Xing asked with a smile. Qin Luo stared into the distance intently and said slowly, "Let's be SOSO." Learning to be SOSO is the lifelong pursuit of Xueba. Needless to say, they all know it well. "I'm really envious of the boss who got full marks in the exam. When will you be as good as the boss?" "Post mastery plus 56. It's a bit low." Qin Luo wondered if he should squeeze them more. "Full marks? Excellent." Hearing the bragging sound in his ear, Bai Chong's mouth raised a disdainful smile. Who dares to call himself excellent in front of him? "Haha, my son has come out. Tell me how he did in the exam." Seeing Bai Chong coming out, the older young woman hurried up to meet him. "Isn't it very simple?" "Well, it's not difficult for me." Bai Chong shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently. "How many points can I get?" the woman asked again. 48 to 50, Bai Chong said. "Minimum 48. Hissed. For a moment, everyone gasped. This provincial team retest, the 3 questions totaled 50 points, and Bai Chong only deducted 2 points, which is simply shocking. This is enough to rank among the top few in the history of the provincial team. "Good son," the woman shouted excitedly. With that look, he wanted to tell everyone that Bai Chong was his son. Ding! Being ridiculed by the scumbags, the master value of the host is plus 12. Ding! Being ridiculed by an older woman, the mastery of host science is plus 45. It is detected that the tyrant is being ridiculed, and the task is automatically released. The despair of the scumbag. Please use your absolute strength to tell the scumbags what cruelty is. Experience value plus 5,000, an ability value added card. Ability value added card, which can improve the individual ability of the host within 1 hour. Ability value added card. Qin Luo's eyes began to sharpen. 48 points. Is it high? Qin Luo asked after hesitating for a moment. Isn't 48 points high? It's really not high. With a helpless smile, Qin Luo turned and left. Looking at the back of Qin Luo leaving, the corners of Bai Chong's mouth turned up, and he smiled disdainfully. He is sure of this championship. Ding! The taunt of a scumbag is the best nourishment for a top student, and the value of a top student is plus 123. Early the next morning, Qin Luo, all the team members, and Chun Shuqing gathered in the dormitory, waiting for the announcement of the final result. At 10 o'clock today, the Southwest Math Federation will officially announce the results of the rematch. As the time drew closer, emotions of excitement, apprehension, and panic spread in the small lounge. At this moment, Qin Luo suddenly made a sound. He looked at the crowd with a smile. and then said slowly, "Have you ever seen Qingyu City at 4 o'clock in the morning? Qingdu Chongqing City at 4 o'clock in the morning?" Everyone looked at each other with admiration in their eyes. The god of learning is worthy of being a god of learning. He gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning to read. No, I want to learn from Xueshen and stay up all night tonight. While talking, Gongyi took out his mobile phone and ordered 10 cups of coffee. Unlike other people's excitement, Lin Shanshan was unusually calm. Others didn't know about Qin Luo, but they knew it all. He's not like someone who wakes up at 4 a.m. Qin Luo raised his hands and pressed down, signaling for everyone to be quiet. "Boss, please instruct. Actually, you don't need to order so many coffees, because even I have never seen Qingyu at 4 o'clock in the morning." Suddenly, a cold current roared in, and the temperature in the lounge dropped by 2 or 3 degrees. If eyes can kill, Qin Luo has already been killed by Gong 800 times. Ding! The resentment of the scumbag has been detected. The host's mastery value +1. The corners of Qin Luo's mouth twitched wildly. "You may not believe me when I say it. I didn't intend to ask for your mastery points. He just wanted to mediate the atmosphere." But thinking about it carefully, Qin Luo didn't feel guilty at all. No matter what he said, at least he changed the panic atmosphere in the lounge, right? Resentment and panic. Qin Luo thinks resentment is much better. Suddenly, the team member who ordered the coffee slapped his thighs suddenly and exclaimed loudly, "It happened." "What's the situation?" Everyone couldn't help frowning. He didn't answer, but hurriedly took out his mobile phone. "Hey, I don't want the 10 cups of coffee." "What? Can't I return it?" Chatting, Qin Luo only felt that the resentment in the air had increased a lot, touched his nose, and walked to the window. The girl downstairs' legs were really white. When everyone was blowing the competition, the time had already reached 10 o'clock before they knew it. The official website of the Southwest Digital Federation Association refreshes the semi-final information on time. Qin Luo is full of ambition. He is ready to accept the baptism of being a top student. Swish! The official website of the Southwest Mathematical Association shows. Beishan City Representative Team. Qin Luo scored 50 points. Lin Shan scored 28 points. Huang Xing scored 29 points. 156 points in total. Qingdu Chongqing Team. By Chong 35 points. Zhou Haiba 30 points. 133 points in total. Gonko City Representative Team. Lin Tao 28 points. Goxia 25 points. 127 points in total. The next few urban areas are all between 100 and 120 points. Everyone in front of the screen was stunned. The Qingdu Chongqing Team, a traditional strong team, came second this time, and Beishan City, which had been the tail of the crane for a long time, turned into the leader. Their total score is as high as 156 points, which means that the average score of each person is as high as 30 points or more. What's even more exaggerated is that there are still people who get full marks. It is necessary to know that the difficulty of the provincial team retest questions this time has increased a lot compared to the previous ones, and even added the demonstration of the Königsberg Seven Bridges theory. Logically speaking, with the current level of high school students, no one can write this question. Taking a step back, even if someone writes, it is impossible to get full marks. Because the subjectivity of this question is too strong. Unless the argument is well-founded, it is absolutely impossible to get full marks. However, Qin Luo broke through the common sense, and he scored the impossible perfect score in this question. Ding! The host's knowledge stunned everyone, and the mastery value is plus 178. Ding! The host's knowledge stunned everyone, and the mastery value is plus 156. A series of notification sounds made Qin Luo's ears buzz. In just a few seconds, Qin Luo received more than 2,000 Xueba points, and still rising. In a lounge of the Qingdu Chongqing team, a group of bullies were excitedly bragging. "Brother Chong, how many times have we won the gold medal? The 4th time or the 5th time? There is no pressure at all. Hey, I have won too many gold medals. I really want to get a silver medal to try." Hearing these words, Bai Chong didn't speak, but just smiled faintly. The championships they won in the provincial examination every year are enough to circle the playground, and this time is no exception. Qin Luo, I really hope you can surprise me. Bai Chong sneered in his heart. Boom, boom, boom. The wall clock on the wall beeped 3 dull sounds. At 10 o'clock in the morning, it was time to release the results on the official website. Everyone hurriedly pulled out their mobile phones, the official website of the Southwest Digital Federation Association. Sure, a burst of white light flashed, and the scores of all contestants appeared on the screen. Beishan City Representative Team. Qin Luo scored 50 points. Lin Shan scored 28 points. Huang Xing scored 29 points. 156 points in total. Chengdu Chongqing Team. By Chong 35 points. Zhou Haiba 30 points. 133 points in total. Gongkou City Representative Team. Lin Tao 28 points. Go Xia 25 points. 137 points in total. How is this possible? Looking at the scores on the official website, Bai Chong let out a shocking exclamation. He could hardly believe his eyes. Qin Luo actually scored 50 points, full marks, but he only scored 35 points. His face was swollen and red, and his expression was as ugly as if he had eaten bitter melon. Just yesterday, he vowed to yell in front of Qin Luo, but after only 16 hours, the cruel reality slapped him hard. At this moment, he wished he could find a crack in the ground and sneak in. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Why can he get full marks? Cheating, definitely cheating. There is no reason to explain it other than cheating. After a short period of silence, the whole lounge became noisy. Their faces were red and fierce, and they wanted to tear Qin Luo into pieces. Teacher, what's going on? Bai Chong turned to look at the teacher who led the team, that he needs an explanation. Behind him, a middle-aged woman in a black professional suit had a gloomy face. Her name is Song Shuiqing. She is the leading teacher of the Chengdu Chongqing City Representative Team, and she is also one of the special grade teachers of the Chengdu Chongqing Middle School. In the 4 years since she took over the number competition, Chengdu City has always dominated the number 1 throne. But today, 4 years later, they lost, and they lost badly. The total score was not much lost, but it was lost to a top student. The theory of the 7 bridges of Königsberg has no results, she said quietly. So the answer to this question is that it doesn't exist. Königsberg's 7 bridges theory, this is a mathematical problem raised in the 18th century. A small town of Königsberg with beautiful scenery, where there are 7 bridges. The small island in the river is connected to the left and right banks of the river by 2 bridges at that time. There was a difficult problem among the residents of Königsberg. How can a person walk across 7 bridges at a time, cross each bridge only once, and finally return to the starting point? Everyone is trying to find out the answer to the question, but no one can solve the problem. Mathematicians recognize that this problem has no solution. Confused continue to be confused. The top academic masters from Chengdu and Chongqing froze in place. Bai Chong was even more dumbfounded. He couldn't believe his ears. Song Shuiqing's words were like a thunderbolt from the blue sky, and it was as if someone had poured a basin of cold water from head to toe, making his whole body numb. Does not exist. In such a rigorous provincial team rematch, the answers to the test questions did not exist. Don't say they haven't seen it, or even heard of it. Thump. Bai Chong was furious. His eyes darkened, his feet staggered, and he fell directly to the ground. His face was pale, and his body was shaking like chaff. He used 13 methods to prove it, but the answer was no solution. He knew he had lost, and the loss was, I rely on it, number 1. Qin Luo, why are you getting full marks again? Take the old driver. The old driver takes me. I want to get full marks. Obviously, you can rely on your face to make a living, but you have to rely on your talent, Huang Xing said with a full face of resentment. Although they had already guessed that this would happen, they still couldn't restrain their emotions when they saw the scores. Qin Luo is a pervert at all. Brother, you may not believe me. I don't want to rely on strength at all. Qin Luo shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile. Everyone was at a loss for words, and their eyes were full of resentment. If they could, they wished they could hit Qin Luo on the ground 100 times. Qin Luo, if you keep doing this, we won't be friends anymore. That's right. He's not good at anything, especially his mouth. Friends are exhausted. Hearing everyone's ridicule, Qin Luo squinted his eyes and looked at the system panel. The value of Xueba didn't even increase by 1 point. These guys can only thunder without raining. Whoring for nothing. Qin Luo's face darkened instantly. Okay. Just when everyone wanted to continue mocking Qin Luo, Chun Shuqing, who had been smiling and keeping silent, finally spoke. He raised his hands and pressed down, motioning for everyone to be quiet. After everyone was quiet, Chun Shuqing said, "Don't be too happy. The retest of the provincial team is just the first step in a long march. There'll be a national competition next, or IMO. At that time, you will not only be facing the top students in the Southwest province, but you'll be facing the whole country and the whole world. That's where you show yourself." As he spoke, he glanced at Qin Luo intentionally or unintentionally and said sharply, "Especially you. Qin Luo, don't think about it all day long. I can tell you responsibly that a man's face can age. The only thing that cannot be aged is knowledge. Just like me, even if my face is gone, I'm still handsome." Looking at Chun Shuqing's wrinkled face, Qin Luo shivered for no reason. He began to seriously consider whether he should be a top student. Who is more important than knowledge or your handsome appearance? Even Qin Luo, who is already an academic master at level LV4, can't help but fall into deep thought. After the intense flames of war, it is time for celebration. Qingyu University, Central Auditorium. The big cows of several provincial digital federations are making generous speeches. The routine is still the same, and even the process is similar. After a simple speech, it will enter the award ceremony. As both individual and team first, Qin Luo won the first gold medal without a doubt. Of course, a gold medal cannot be pure gold, but the glory it brings is something that money cannot buy. Winning this gold medal means that this year, Qin Luo is the best person in mathematics in the entire Southwest province. Come on, I look forward to your magnificent blooming at IMO. After finishing speaking, Feng Huadong handed over the gold medal to Qin Luo with a joyful smile on his face. The Southwest Digital Federation Association has produced such a genius as Qin Luo, and he has a bright face when he says it. Don't worry, I will. Qin Luo nodded. Feng Huadong was stunned for a moment, and then laughed. He reached out and patted Qin Luo's shoulder and said loudly, "Good boy, I just like your self-important appearance. You will also take the college entrance examination this year. Are you interested in coming to our Qingyu University?" What's this? Naked robbery. Chengdu Chongqing University is the best double first-class university in Southwest Province. Even in the whole of China, it can also be ranked in the top 10. But now, such an excellent university is pulling Qin Luo like a pimp. Has the world changed? For a moment, everyone was stunned. Isn't it just solving a theory of the 7 bridges of Königsberg? Use this? Is Feng Huadong out of his mind? Regardless of everyone's surprised gazes, Feng Huadong looked at Qin Luo again. "Student Qin, don't worry. We will formulate the most complete training plan for you, and you don't have to worry about tuition and food. They are all free, and there are additional subsidies. Look at 5,000 per month. What do you think?" Feng Huadong said step by step. Qin Luo is a piece of jade in the rough. As long as it is carefully carved, it will become a great tool in the future. If he misses it now, he will regret it for the rest of his life. Quiet, deathly quiet. You could hear a needle drop. There were about 50 people in the auditorium, except for Chun Shuqing. All of them opened their mouths wide and were speechless for a long time. Tuition is free, 5,000 a month. This is no longer simply pimping, but giving money. Still send big money. What kind of ability does Qin Luo have that can make Feng Huadong make such a concession? This kid has made a lot of money. For a moment, countless pairs of jealous eyes looked at Qin Luo. But in the next second, everyone's eyes widened. Qin Luo smiled faintly and said slowly, "Thank you, Teacher Feng, for your kindness, but I don't have this idea yet. I want to take the college entrance examination." The college entrance examination, the most important exam in the country, is held to others, but to Qin Luo, it is heaven. A paradise for earning mastery value. Refused? The auditorium suddenly exploded. A group of melon-eating viewers were completely convinced by Qin Luo. Not only did he get full marks in the provincial exam, but he also rejected Feng Huadong's invitation and the chance to enter the top 10 universities in the country. My God, is this a genius? Qingyu University, if you don't want it, don't want it. Brother Genius is really extraordinary. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Being rejected on the spot, Feng Huadong was taken aback for a moment, and then he laughed heartily. He patted Qin Luo's shoulder heavily and said with a big smile, "It's true that you don't belong to Qingyu. You should belong to a wider stage. I look forward to when you stand on the field's medal podium." Field's reporting desk. Quiet, deathly quiet. In a noisy auditorium, a needle can be heard, and even the sound of breathing has disappeared. Gullah. Someone in the crowd swallowed, their eyes glazed over. The report platform of the Fields Award is the best report platform in the world. It is on a high platform, and the audience is full of the world's top scholars and scientists. Being able to stand, there is a symbol of status and the pinnacle of academics. What kind of virtue and ability does Qin Luo have to make Feng Huadong comment like this? His words are even more shocking than Qin Luo's previous words. Feng Huadong didn't speak, just smiled lightly, his eyes fixed on Qin Luo. He even had an illusion that even Field's reporting platform would not be his end. From now on, you are the champion, Feng Huadong said loudly. The host successfully won the provincial team championship. Ding! The host successfully slapped the scumbag in the face. The task is completed, and the reward value of the top student plus 5,000. Ding! The host won the championship of the provincial team. The task is completed, the reward for the master value plus 10,000, and an ability value-added card. The host's remaining academic master value, 18,562 points. Ability value-added card. Instantly increase the ability of the host by 2 levels, lasting for 1 hour. Academic hegemony points were entered into the account, and this academic hegemony value was enough for him to upgrade instantly. And that ability value-added card. Instantly increase ability level 2. What is that concept? It can make Qin Luo step into the ranks of scientists in an instant. A series of rewards directly made Qin Luo's breath short. Just one provincial exam made him a lot of... The National Mathematics League is scheduled for the weekend, and everyone is ready to go again after relaxing. This time the national competition is divided into individuals and groups. The individual who wins the first place will go to the United States to participate in the annual IMO, International Mathematical Olympiad. It is the largest mathematics competition in the world, and it is also the most influential and most difficult mathematics competition for middle school students. But all the people who got the ranking in the competition are all the targets that the major colleges and universities are frantically chasing. At 10 o'clock in the morning, a total of 8 people, including Qin Luo, boarded the bus to the airport. After the tense and intense rematch, a total of 8 top players were competed. The group project is participated by the representative team of Beishan Middle School. Qin Luo and a girl participated in the individual event. Qin Luo didn't know this girl, but her grades were frighteningly high, the highest score except for Qin Luo, 38 points. In other words, she got all the first 2 questions right, and she even got part of the last 7 bridges right. From hundreds of people to dozens of people, and now less than 10 people, the entire Mathematics League is like a big wave washing the sand, sifting out the top students layer by layer, leaving behind the best of the top students, Xueshan. At 11 o'clock, everyone came to the airport again. With the violent roar of the aircraft engine, the behemoth weighing hundreds of tons flew into the blue sky and sailed to a higher stage. Yanjing, the capital of China, the central city of the country, and the political and cultural center, is an ancient capital with a history of more than 3,000 years. After 6 dynasties, it has become the most prosperous city in China. Boom! The engine roared. accompanied by a jolt. The plane landed smoothly. Yanjing International Airport, one of China's three major portal complex hubs, was built in 1958 and officially put into use after 22 years until 1980, with an annual throughput of over a million passengers. As soon as I got off the plane, the noise of the plane hit my face. The site is full of people, and a rough estimate shows that there are tens of thousands of people gathered in the entire waiting hall. Follow me, don't go away, especially you Qin Luo, come to me. Feng Huadong, Chun Shuqing, and other teachers led the team forward one after another, looking at everyone with vigilant eyes. These students are all top students in the Southwest province. No matter who gets lost, they cannot bear the responsibility. The corners of Qin Luo's mouth twitched uncontrollably. As a top student, he was actually under the spotlight, which made Qin Luo very confused. At the gate of the airport, a bus was already waiting at the gate. There were already many students in the car. They are academic masters from all regions of the country. President Feng, long time no see. As soon as he got into the car, a hearty laughter came over. Following the sound, I saw a well-dressed, middle-aged man slowly walking over. Seeing Lei Run, Feng Huadong's face froze for a moment, a little ugly, but he still raised the corner of his mouth and said politely, "President Song, long time no see. How have you been?" "It's not bad. I recently dug up a pretty good seedling." The middle-aged man smiled and said, "I heard that President Feng has a student named Qin Luo who proved the Seven Bridges theory. I don't know if there is such a thing." "That's right, there is such a thing." Feng Huadong glanced at him lightly and said with a sneer, "Why? President Song is trying to poach people again." Song Xiaodong, the president of the Central China Provincial Number Federation Association, has one of his biggest characteristics. That is, he likes to poach people all over the country, especially dig out those top talents. Poaching people? How is that possible? It's just to prove the Seven Bridges theory. There are not many such people in Central China. Seeing Feng Huadong's dark face, Song Xiaodong continued, "Chairman Feng is not afraid to tell you the truth. My students have already begun to demonstrate Zhou's conjecture." "Zhou guess?" In a word, Feng Huadong froze in place. He looked at Qin Luo behind him with a complex expression, then at Song Xiaodong, and asked tentatively, "Are you sure it's Zhou's conjecture?" "Of course." Song Xiaodong smiled wildly and jokingly said, "Although Zhou's conjecture is not the top problem in the world, it is not something that ordinary people can prove. It is true that Zhou's conjecture is not considered the top problem in the mathematics world, but when you start to study Zhou's conjecture in high school, there will not be more than 10 people in the whole country, or even the whole world. And he has such a genius under his command, which is the capital of his pride." As he spoke, he waved to the students behind him. "Let me introduce to everyone Sun Hua, the champion of this national competition." Song Xiaodong said with a smile. "National champion?" All the Southwest academic masters were furious. "You booked the championship before the competition even started. Who do you think you are?" "Teacher, you can't say that. It's not a test yet. It's just talking so full of words. Be careful to be slapped in the face when the time comes." I remember that Central China Province only ranked second in the national competition last year. Facing the ridicule of the crowd, Song Xiaodong and Sun Hua looked at each other with smiles in their eyes. They shook their heads without saying anything and slowly backed away. How can a tiger whisper to a sheep? Ignore, completely ignore. It was like someone in a high position ignoring the common people in the market, and immediately made everyone furious. Everyone still wanted to talk, but they were interrupted by Feng Huadong waving his hand. "Don't be angry. Anyway, the national competition is about to start, and then will be the time to see the truth." While talking, Feng Huadong looked at Song Xiaodong and said with a smile, "Keep going. Maybe you will see another scene at the end." Zhou's conjecture has been proved by Qin Luo, no matter how much effort the latecomers make. Even if they are lucky enough to prove successful, it will be in vain. In academic matters, people will always remember only two people. One is the proposer of the problem, and the other is the prover of the problem. However, Qin Luo is undoubtedly the latter. He is the one to be remembered. In such a tense atmosphere, The bus set off slowly. Its goal is very clear: the highest institution in China, Yinqing University. The National Math Federation competition is held once a year and is hosted by Yinqing University and Huaqing University. Today, it is Yinqing University's turn to be the host. The bus was driving very fast. Almost half an hour later, the bus stopped firmly in front of Yinqing University. As soon as he stepped out of the car door, a heavy historical atmosphere came over his face. The first thing you see when you look up is a blue plaque on which are written the 4 gilt characters of Yinqing University, which are vigorous and powerful. Walking through the gate and entering the campus, you will see many students. Yinqing University in November is the most beautiful time of the world. The golden ginkgo leaves are like a carpet, covering the entire tree-lined avenue. Being in it is like going back to decades ago when Yinqing University was founded. Following Feng Huadong, everyone found their room. In order to facilitate the competition, the school did not arrange a hotel, but vacated several dormitories for everyone to use. Firstly, it was for safety reasons, and secondly, it was also because it was easy to manage. 5-1. In Qin Luo's room, everyone was looking at this historic school curiously. Look at that girl. She's a little pretty. That girl has a really nice figure and really white legs. Wow, this one is also good. Gong leaned his chin on the windowsill, staring at the rushing people downstairs without blinking. Every time a young lady with outstanding looks passed by, it would cause him to exclaim, "Hee hee, I suddenly want to ask you a question." Qin Luo turned his eyes away from the little sister and then fell on everyone. "Scholar, please tell me." For a while, everyone looked at Qin Luo curiously. If there were 2 women standing in front of you, one with perfect looks and one with perfect figure, which one would you choose? Qin Luo narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile. 2 women, 1 looks, 1 figure. Isn't there one with dash points for both? Gongyi asked. No. Everyone suddenly fell into deep thought, and even Chen Shuqing began to think about it. The question Qin Luo raised was far more entangled than the chicken and egg question. Lin Shanshan blinked her eyes and looked at Qin Luo curiously. She was very curious about what choice Qin Luo would make. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, everyone is still frowning. It's like eating and eating. You want both, but you can't have both. Seeing everyone's frowning faces, Qin Luo's heart was already full of joy. Ahem. He cleared his throat and said seriously, "You have been thinking for so long. What do these 2 women have to do with you?" Crowd. The moment Qin Luo finished speaking, everyone's expressions darkened. Even Chen Shuqing's face turned dark. They knew that they were played by Qin Luo. "Boss, if you continue like this, I'm afraid I won't be able to be your friend. Break off. Hello, boss. Goodbye, boss." The scumbags are furious, but the experience points of the top students are rising rapidly. Ding, the knowledge of the host is astounding, and the mastery value is plus 17. Ding, the incompetent rage of the scumbag was detected, and the value of the top student is plus 35. Nearly dash points of mastery value, although not much, but better than nothing. Students keep going. Okay, our Beishan No Dash Middle School has entered the national competition for the first time in so many years. Let's have a good meal tonight. I invite you to have a big meal at the Yinjing Hotel. Chen Shuqing waved his hands and smiled. Public or private? Chen Shuqing's old face darkened, and he glared at Qin Luo angrily and said, "Everyone else pays for it, but you pay for it yourself. Teacher, it's not good to do this. Brother, you can't be so partial. I'm a teacher, so you don't care about me. Xiaoyang are fighting with me. Can't cure you." Chen Shuqing raised his head, his face full of complacency. Of course, Qin Luo followed in the end, for the simple reason that they ran into Feng Huadong when they were going downstairs. After Feng Huadong heard about the dinner party, he was very willing to join in, and he generously expressed that he would help Qin Luo pay for the meal. Yinjing Hotel is not a high-end hotel in Yinjing City, but it is one of the most famous hotels. The reason is very simple. On the one hand, it is because its price is affordable And on the other hand, it has a secret dish. Sushi meatballs attract diners from all over the world to taste them. It was almost evening, and the hall of Yinjing Hotel was already full of seats. Qin Luo and others found a corner by the window and were anxiously waiting for the delicacies to be served. At the first official gathering of the national competition team, everyone was very excited. Even Huang Xing, who had always been taciturn, opened up the chatterbox, telling interesting things about the class nonstop. And Qin Luo just looked up at the sky with unusually calm eyes. I said, Qin Luo, why are you so calm? Seeing Qin Luo's expression, Feng Huadong couldn't laugh or cry. The other students should smile and cry, but only Qin Luo, like a person who has nothing to do, has no fluctuations at all. He was very worried that Qin Luo had a psychological problem. Looking up at the starry sky always calms me down. Qin Luo shrugged and said lightly, looking at the stars, looking at the huge sun outside the window, everyone's teeth itch with hatred. At this time, the hammer comes to the starry sky. Can you see through your eyes? Can you see outer space through clouds? Find me a star and come out and see. The sun is essentially a star. Blackened, completely blackened. Everyone's faces were far darker than the bottom of the black pot. Don't they know that the sun is a star? But is that what they mean? If they could, they wish they could punch Qin Luo until his mother didn't even know her. Sushi meatballs, welcome to taste. At this moment, the food ordered by Qin Luo and the others was delivered. Golden meatballs plus green cabbage. The fragrance is tangy. Qin Luo raised his eyebrows and hurriedly said, Everyone hurry up and eat. After all, he picked up the chopsticks first and picked up a ball for himself. Well, really good. If you can get the recipe of this meatball, it is unimaginable how good the business of your restaurant will be. It would be great if I could know the formula. Qin Luo sighed quietly. I advise you to give up this idea as soon as possible, because it is impossible to realize. Feng Huadong said, Sushi meatballs, this is Yinjing Hotel's secret dish. Those who want to get his recipe are like crucian carp crossing the river, but until now no one has succeeded. Even, for the sake of publicity, Chen Yu, the owner of Yinjing Hotel, that he also offered a reward of -yuan to anyone who could tell the secret formula accurately. What chance does Qin Luo have for the sushi meatballs that countless famous chefs have smashed into the sand? What if it comes true? Don't be in danger, because there is no eventuality. Feng Huadong refused politely. Qin Luo didn't give up. As a top student with a system, how could he say no? Taking out his mobile phone, he searched for Huaxia Recipes Encyclopedia, and Qin Luo started to read books. Seeing this scene, Feng Huadong smiled helplessly. If the unique secret recipe of Yinjing Hotel could be cracked so easily, but he didn't stop him. He really wanted to see how Qin Luo was hit. Ding! The host is studying hard, and the mastery value is +1. The cooking level of the host is increased by LV2. Encyclopedia of Chinese Recipes, Advanced Cooking, Encyclopedia of Northern Cuisine. After several books in a row, Qin Luo's cooking level has improved rapidly. Congratulations to the host for increasing his culinary level to LV4, Top Chef. The host's sense of taste and smell has been greatly improved. LV4? Qin Luo put away the phone contentedly, then waved to the waiter behind him and said, Give me a glass of white water and give me a pair of knives and forks. White water? The waiter was stunned. Immediately, he realized that the high school student in front of him wanted to decipher the formula like many famous chefs. But how old is he? It seems that he is definitely not more than 20 years old, and it is impossible to think about it. Hold on. Damn. Qin Luo, you can't play for real, right? Seeing the back of the waiter leaving, everyone was dumbfounded. They thought that Qin Luo was just playing for fun, but they never expected that he was actually playing for real. This is really to taste food. Have you ever seen me tell a lie? Thinking about it carefully, it seems that there really is not. But this is different from doing the exams. You can rely on your talent and work hard to complete the leap from a scumbag to a top student in a short period of time. But this is cooking, an art that pays attention to experience. No matter how talented you are, Can you compare with those chefs who have been immersed in cooking for decades? Even they haven't deciphered it. Qin Luo may be able to decipher it. Boss, if you really figure it out, I'll serve you tea every day. I'll pass you the cigarette. I'll help you shine your shoes. First, little student, the knives and forks and white water you want. Soon the waiter came over with a complete set of equipment. Originally, he wanted to call Mr. Qin, but looking at Qin Luo's immature face, he swallowed the words that came to his lips. Classmates are classmates. Why add a small one? But with the generosity of the god of learning, Qin Luo still smiled and said thank you. Everyone was speechless again. President Feng, what a coincidence, you guys are eating here too. Suddenly, a hearty voice came from behind the crowd, and they turned their heads to see Song Qiaodong and his party walking slowly over. The people who should come didn't come, but the people who shouldn't come did. Feng Huadong's face became darker and darker. Hee, what a coincidence. Feng Huadong sneered. Listening to Feng Huadong's unkind tone, Song Qiaodong's expression remained the same, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. His eyes swept over everyone, and finally stopped on Qin Luo, to be precise, on the set of utensils in front of him. White water, knives and forks, clean plates. As a native of Yanjing who works in central China, he naturally knows the meaning of this set of tools. He wanted to taste sushi meatballs. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Student, what is this? It's what you think in your heart. Qin Luo responded coldly. Song Qiaodong felt his eyes go dark, and Qin Luo almost choked his breath. Can't this guy speak well? Can you speak? Shut up if you can't speak. Seeing his teacher being bullied, the students behind Song Qiaodong rioted immediately. You talk to each other, and you go straight to Qin Luo. Regarding this, Qin Luo just smiled lightly and didn't care at all. I really want to see what you are capable of. Waving his hand, Song Qiaodong snorted coldly, found a seat not far from Qin Luo, and sat down, staring straight at him with a pair of eyes. He wants to see if a high school student can turn the world upside down. As a top chef whose cooking level has reached LV4, my ability will scare you away. Qin Luo picked up the knife and fork, slowly cut it open, then picked up one piece and tasted it. Song Qiaodong's eyes swept across Qin Luo's face, seeing that his expression was still as usual, and the sneer on his face became more intense. Posting. The seasoning stimulated the taste buds, and the fresh aroma of the food overflowed in Qin Luo's mouth. At this moment, he was completely immersed in the feast of taste. Onions, ginger, garlic, eggs, oyster sauce. The names of various ingredients appeared in Qin Luo's mind like a slideshow. What puzzled Qin Luo was that these were the most common ingredients, well-known ingredients, and could never become a secret recipe. There should be something else. Qin Luo picked up a ball again and put it in his mouth. Suddenly, the name of the traditional Chinese medicine appeared in Qin Luo's mind. Licorice. No wonder there is a sweetness different from white sugar in the meatballs. It turns out to be licorice. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Qin Luo is still immersed in the feast of taste. He never saw Feng Huadong's face getting darker, nor did he see the unscrupulous laugh on Song Qiaodong's face. Just when both of them were about to explode, Qin Luo suddenly opened his eyes. It's done. Done. Is it solved? Ha ha. It is to recognize the reality. Immediately, everyone's eyes were on Qin Luo, with curiosity and disdain. Qin Luo waved to the waiter behind him and said with a smile, "Give this piece of paper to your boss." As he spoke, he took out a pen and paper from his pocket and drew a grass. A grass? This is the answer. If it hadn't been confirmed that Qin Luo's mind was fine, Feng Huadong would even think that Qin Luo was mentally ill. Wait a moment. The waiter simply responded and turned to leave. Classmate, you don't think drawing a plan of grass counts as solving the formula? Song Qiaodong said with a sneer. Mata, if he draws one grass, he can get 100,000. He is no longer a teacher. He draws grass every day, 101,000. In a short time, he will be richer than a certain cloud. Mr. Song, this grass is not an ordinary grass, but a grass worth 100,000. Qin Luo shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile. Once again, Song Xiaodong was held breathless by Qin Luo's words. Feng Huadong blushed, not because he was angry, but because he was funny. Qin Luo's mouth is too poisonous, but he likes it very much. Yuhumph. Song Xiaodong gave Qin Luo a vicious look and stopped talking, but the chill in his eyes was getting stronger and stronger. I want to see how you end up, he sneered in his heart. Not keeping everyone waiting for long, the waiter hurried over with a middle-aged man. Who painted this painting? The middle-aged man glanced at everyone and asked. The good show has begun. A playful flash of Song Xiaodong's eyes. Me. Qin Luo raised his hand and said. Although he knew that the person who solved the secret recipe was young, Liang Bo was still shocked when he saw Qin Luo's immature face. This dish has stumped top chefs from various cuisines from all over the world, but now it has been cracked by a person who looks like a high school student. After a long while, Liang Bo realized that he quickly took out a check from his pocket and handed it to Qin Luo. Student, you deserve this, Liang Bo said with a smile. Dumbfounded, completely dumbfounded. Whether it was the teammates of the Southwest team or the enemies of the Central China team, they all froze in place like wooden men. Qin Luo actually solved the mystery and cracked the secret recipe that stumped the top chefs. Damn, how is this possible? Song Xiaodong's eyes darkened, and he almost passed out. Once upon a time, he was still eagerly waiting for the start of the good show. The good show did start, but the result was far different from what he had imagined. Not only did Qin Luo not make a joke, but he also shocked everyone's attention. What the hell is going on? Just draw a broken grass to solve the mystery and get dash. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Don't ask me. I feel like I'm dreaming. This is what the Central China team said. Maid, there are really geniuses in this world. Boss, as expected of a boss. The hall above is the kitchen below. Give the big brother tea. Shine the leather shoes for the boss. Pass tea, shine shoes. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the admiration of the scumbags. The value of the mastery, plus 111. Boss Liang, I need an explanation. Song Xiaodong's pupils suddenly shrank. His face was gloomy and scary. Liang Bo turned his head, looked at Song Xiaodong indifferently, and said with a soft smile, There is nothing to explain. He drew the answer. Boom. The members of the Central China team felt like they were struck by lightning. If they were just guessing before, now it is ironclad evidence. Liang Bo, the general manager of Yanjing Hotel, it is impossible for him to tell lies, and there is no need to tell lies. It's impossible. He's just a high school student. How can he figure out the answer? Song Xiaodong shouted hoarsely. He almost didn't want to believe the facts in front of him. Who stipulates that high school students can't solve the answer? Some geniuses can't get over it with common sense. Liang Bo looked at Song Xiaodong with disdain. Genius is especially prominent in the diet industry. Some people are born with a more sensitive sense of taste and smell than others. There is no doubt that Qin Luo is such a person. Genius? Song Xiaodong opened his mouth, but was unable to speak in the end. Angrily glaring at Qin Luo, he said coldly, I hope you can continue to be a genius when you are in a national competition. After speaking, he led a group of students and left without looking back. Wait, just as he was about to cross the threshold, Liang Bo stopped him again. Ow! Mr. Song pays for the order in this restaurant. No credit. Liang Bo laughed. Swipe the card pack. Song Xiaodong replied in a cold voice, settled the bill, turned around, and left. He really has no face to stay here. Ha ha ha. Seeing the scene of Song Xiaodong leaving in despair, Feng Huadong immediately burst into joy. Because of his performance, he would be ridiculed by Song Xiaodong every time in the national competition. This time, he finally got his revenge. After a simple dinner, everyone went back to school and started preparing for the national competition 2 days later. In the early morning, Yanda ushered in a rare good weather because there was no smog on this day. Qin Luo walked and came to a lake in the school. Then he was stunned by the sight in front of him. There are countless students sitting on the stone chairs by the lake. They each hold a book and are reading it carefully. Isn't the lakeside a place to talk about love? Student, which department is it? Just as Qin Luo was thinking about whether to use a book to pretend to be aggressive, a boy beside him asked curiously. He is close to 2 meters tall, with disheveled hair behind him. He is very thin, with extremely long legs, and his eyes reveal an indescribable depth. Which department? Qin Luo thought about it carefully. It should be the Department of Mathematics. He is now only a little higher in math. Mathematics? A radiant light burst out from the pupils of the 2-meter man. Do you know Zhou's conjecture? Yes. Qin Luo nodded. Zhou's conjecture, isn't that what he proved? Are you interested in communicating? Not interested, because it will be a theorem before long. Theorem? The 2-meter man chuckled. The elementary school boy is still too tender. By the way, senior brother, why did you come to Yanda? Oh, don't mention it. I originally wanted to take the Cambridge exam, but I failed the exam, so I can only come to Yanda. You got into Yanda because you failed the exam? Hearing these words, Qin Luo had the urge to hit someone. Brother, do you have a disease that will kill you if you don't pretend to be aggressive? Qin Luo asked. Hey, don't you believe it? At least 1/3 of the people in Yen University came to Yen University because they failed the exam. While talking, he said to the passing female students, Beauty, why did you come to Yanda? Forget it, I failed the exam. The 2-meter man spread his hands at Qin Luo and said helplessly, I'm not wrong. Qin Luo's right hand trembled, and he could hardly restrain the impulse in his heart. By the way, Junior, why did you come to Yanda? Don't mention it. I failed the exam. After Qin Luo finished speaking, he walked away. When I came to Yanda University, I realized what a bully is. Along the way, Qin Luo was filled with emotion. He pretended to be a low-level coward in front of Huang Xing and Lin Shanshan. Zhou's conjecture and Riemann's conjecture. Qin Luo felt a sense of bewilderment. Each one is a monster with an IQ as high as 180. It seems that they're the masters of the school, and they're just the scumbags. They pretend to be high-end academics, and he was still a long way from them. An unintentional walk let Qin Luo know Yanda's urination. If he didn't say that he failed in the exam, he would be low. As soon as the eyes are closed, the day passes. On Sunday, the National Number Federation competition officially started. The game is divided into 2 stages, the first half and the second half. Today is the first half of the game, and tomorrow is the second half. The sum of the scores of the 2 games is the total score. As for the individual award, get the highest score in the second half. The first teaching building of Yinqing University. After the routine inspection at 9:45 a.m., top students from all over the country were able to enter the examination room, and the first half of the national competition officially began. This time the national competition was slightly different from the provincial exam. His score was very low. There were 3 questions in total, totaling 20 points. The remaining 80 points will be reserved for the second half of the exam. Moreover, this national competition is far more stringent than the previous city and province exams. In a classroom with an area of more than 100 square meters, there are only 15 students sitting, and the distance between each student seat is more than 2 meters. The invigilator patrols more than 4 teachers in turn. There are more than 10 high-definition monitoring probes installed on the wall. They monitored everyone in the classroom without any blind spots throughout the whole process, and the probe went straight to the monitoring room. The monitoring room was already full of teachers, and even a slight movement could not escape their eyes. Not to mention plagiarism. Even a small jitter or turning the head can be judged as cheating. The rigor of this exam is much stricter than the college entrance examination in everyone's eyes. Outside the examination room, Wang Xuetzai, Song Baohua, and Zhou Haizhong came over Yuze. As the invigilator teachers this time, they felt that they had to perform their duties well. Do you think that kid Qin Luo will surprise us again? Wang Xuetzai said with a smile as he took a sip of the tea in his cup. Surprise? It's better not to be a fright. Song Baohua's mouth twitched, and he said jokingly, You take the Poincare conjecture as the test question in the second half, and you're not afraid of scaring these geniuses to death. That's right, not to mention them. Even some PhD candidates can't prove it. Zhou Haizhong said with a smile. Poincaré conjecture. On May 2005, at the Millennium Mathematics Conference, the field's medal winner brought one of the Millennium Puzzles proposed by Gavos. Any solution must be published in the most prestigious mathematics journal in the world and must be recognized by the mathematics community for more than 2 years in order to receive the $100 million prize issued by the Clay Institute of Mathematics. It is already difficult to prove it, and what is even more difficult is that there will be no objection from the mathematics community within 2 years of publishing it in a journal. It's almost impossible. Today, there are a total of 7 questions in the Millennium Prize, and the Poincaré conjecture has still not been confirmed. Geniuses always have to be different. Wang Xuebai smiled lightly and said, "Besides, this kid's surname Qin is not just as simple as a genius." "What is that?" "Super genius," Wang Xuebai said seriously. If someone had told him half a month ago that a high school student had solved the Zhou's conjecture that had plagued the mathematics world for more than 10 years, he would undoubtedly have scoffed. However, only half a month later, this matter became a reality. The papers on Zhou's conjecture have been sorted out and sent to the United States, waiting for Princeton University, Professor Deline's final approval. However, there is hope because until now, the manuscript has not been returned. Normally, papers mailed to Princeton will be returned quickly, and only those papers that require further verification can survive the day mark. Zhou Haizhong and Song Bao will looked at each other speechlessly. It is undeniable that Qin Luo is indeed a super genius, as Wang Xuebai said. After opening the test paper, Qin Luo began to twitch, and the twitching speed was very fast. "Are you sure this is a national competition question? Why is it so simple?" Qin Luo was confused. "What's going on? This level of difficulty is really the national exam. This is different from what he imagined. There are 3 questions in total, with a score of 678. However, even the question worth 8 points is very simple. Let alone Qin Luo. Even a scumbag like Lin Shanshan can't help it." Qin Luo looked up and saw that the remaining people in the classroom were picking up their pens and writing brushily, seemingly without any difficulty. "It's really not difficult. Don't look around, do the questions quickly." "Teacher M, is this really the national exam?" Qin Luo asked suspiciously. For a while, he suspected that he had gone to the wrong examination room. "Don't talk nonsense." The teacher reprimanded in a cold voice. "Quickly do the questions." After finishing speaking, he stopped paying attention to Qin Luo, turned around, and walked away. "It shouldn't be." Qin Luo scratched his head and picked up the gel pen, and the pen took off. It didn't take half an hour, not 10 minutes. It only took 5 minutes. Qin Luo's answers were already covered in the answer sheet, and even in these 5 minutes, Qin Luo took the time to check it again. "It's so simple." Putting on the cap of the pen, Qin Luo sighed sincerely. "Attention, candidates." The invigilator who heard the noise came over again. His face was a bit ugly. "I'm talking nonsense, and I'll punish it as cheating." "Teacher, I will hand in the paper." Invigilator. Looking at the time, it was only 15 minutes before the exam started. Even if this question is relatively simple, it shouldn't only take 15 minutes. "Brother, this is the national exam." "Student, this is the national exam," he said in a cold voice. He felt that Qin Luo hadn't figured out the situation and the seriousness of the matter. "I know, but teacher, I will hand in the paper." Qin Luo still had a smile on his face. "Okay, let me see how awesome you are." The invigilator put away the test paper and read it carefully. Others were still working on the first question, and Qin Luo handed in the paper. He wanted to see what this student named Qin Luo was capable of. "Well, it's actually full. I'm a little interested." Before he finished speaking, his eyes widened the next moment. "First question, correct. The second question is correct. The third question is still correct." Invigilator? He was a little confused. Looking at Qin Luo's immature face, he had the feeling that he had lived like a dog for so many years. "When I was Qin Luo's age, I was still struggling on the road to the college entrance examination, but Qin Luo had already disdained the national examination. "Teacher, can I go?" Qin Luo asked. "Go, let me go quickly." He didn't want to see Qin Luo again, and when he saw Qin Luo, there would be a fire of ignorance in his heart. So annoying. Outside the examination room, several top academics wrote papers together, looking forward to it. You tell me when Qin Luo will come out. Wang Xuezai smiled. The test questions in the first half are very simple, about half an hour. Song Bao was said. The third question, three-dimensional geometry, is still a bit difficult. I think it takes 4 to 10 minutes. Zhou Haizhong said. However, the moment Zhou Haizhong finished speaking, the eyes of the three old guys with a combined age of more than 200 years widened. Bang dang, the door of the examination room was pushed open from the inside, and a young man came out. There's a smile on the corner of his mouth, and the eyes are shining brightly. When he sees him, he can see the stars and the sea. Wang Xuezai, Song Baogoa, Zhou Haizhong. The three academicians of the country are all in a daze. Fuck, I really want to know how this kid's brain grows. The School of Medicine of Yanda University is next to it. Why don't we go for a walk? Seconded. Yes, they were very confused. According to their expectation, Qin Luo should come out in about half an hour. But now, only 15 minutes has passed. A group of experts in the mathematics world are in a daze, and Qin Luo is also in a daze. As soon as he walked out of the examination room, he felt that he was being watched by several eyes. This gaze is like a red-hot soldering iron, extremely hot. If the owner of these gazes is a young lady, then Qin Luo would not say anything, but when he followed his gaze, he saw a group of old men who were over half a century old. Qin Luo. Simply, someone soon shared the energy with Qin Luo. Boom! The door of the examination room was opened again. A man and a woman came out one after another. One of them is Sun Hua. The other was a girl with fluttering blonde hair. Qin Luo estimated that he was a mixed race. As soon as the two stepped out of the examination room, they were stunned, but the girl was only stunned for a moment, and then walked away on her own, leaving only Sun Hua. Qin Luo, why is he here? Sun Hua's originally smiling face suddenly darkened. Qin Luo turned in the paper even faster than himself. But the next moment, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth again. Even if you were as strong as yourself, it took about 30 minutes to complete these 3 questions. Qin Luo handed in the paper so quickly. There is only one possibility, a blank paper. I didn't expect you to slip very fast. Sun Hua narrowed his eyes and said with a smile. Slip? What slip? Can a schoolmaster with a system slip away? Qin Luo smiled lightly and said, No way. The question is too simple. So classmate Qin is going to get full marks in the exam? Sun Hua sneered. Well, if I fail to get full marks for such a simple question, then I will be ashamed of others. If possible, Sun Hua would like to tear Qin Luo's mouth off. What does it mean to have no face to meet people without a perfect score? Even if it is him, he is not sure of getting a perfect score in the exam. However, in line with the principle of not losing the battle, he said angrily, You are right. You are indeed shameless. After finishing speaking, Sun Hua turned around gracefully and quickly disappeared from Qin Luo's sight. The incompetent rage of the scumbag has been detected, and the value of the top student is plus 88. Oh, can we still have a good communication? How to send points at every turn? Qin Luo really couldn't figure out. On the other side, Wang Xuezai, Zhou Haizhong, and other academicians are watching everything that happened here with a smile. Yes, there are a few good seedlings in this national competition. Seeing them is like seeing us. Friendly communication is the ladder of progress. If Qin Luo heard what everyone said, he would definitely be scared to the ground. The communication between him and Sun Hua is not very friendly. Ding! 2 hours later, the bell for the end of the exam came as scheduled. Groups of academic masters came out. Lin Shanshan, Huang Xing, and other team members came out one after another. They talked and laughed with excited smiles on their faces. It can be seen that they are very happy and have done well in the exam. The first half was easy, but that doesn't mean the second half will be easy too. Qin Luo walked over and said quietly, What does it feel like to have a bucket of ice water splashed on your head? Cool through the heart is flying. In a word, Lin Shanshan was chilled from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. If you can't talk, don't talk. Lin Shanshan turned her head and said viciously. Second. Incompetent and furious. The master value +1. As a top student, Qin Luo felt very tired facing the accumulated points from time to time. Doesn't this force me to upgrade? You guys have been so kind to me, and what a loving little group. Ding dong. At this moment, everyone's mobile phones rang at the same time. He took out his mobile phone, and there was a message on it. The answers to the first stage of the national examination have been published on the official website of Peking University. Without any hesitation, everyone quickly clicked on the official website. Damn! According to this answer, I can at least score 16-17. Huang Xing let out an excited cry. I'm at least 18. Bai Chong said expressionlessly. As the top student in Southwest Province after Qin Luo, he also joined this national competition. Ah, damn it. I made a mistake here. Lin Shanshan covered her head with her hands in pain. Where? How many points? Someone asked. 17. Everyone's face darkened, and the corners of their mouths twitched. Fortunately, the calculation was wrong. If it wasn't wrong, wouldn't it be full marks? To be honest, Qin Luo felt isolated. Why don't these people ask themselves to estimate their scores? For this reason, Qin Luo decided to take the initiative. After all, Xueba value is like soft sister currency. No one can have too much. You don't want to know my score? Qin Luo smiled with narrowed eyes. Everyone looked at each other, and there was a flash of teasing in their eyes, and they said in unison, I don't want to. Full marks once, full marks twice, full marks every time. They have completely despaired of Qin Luo. You can ask anything, but you can't ask about his grades. Because it is suicidal. Qin Luo. I have full marks. Qin Luo emphasized emphatically. Oh, we know. You don't want to say something? The big guy is awesome. Looking at the motionless system, Qin Luo had the urge to cry. These cash machines in front of them have learned to be smart, and they are no longer those ignorant teenagers. The dining hall of Peking University is vast and boundless. It can accommodate more than 3,000 people eating at the same time. At this moment, in a corner of the cafeteria, a group of teenagers were happily holding their mobile phones, and words like 17 points, 18 points, etc. popped up from time to time. One of the young men looked arrogantly, looking into the distance. Sun Hua, number 1 in the Central China Provincial Examination, is a veritable top student. Brother Sun, don't you estimate the score? Someone in the crowd asked curiously. Estimation? That's something only a scumbag would do. Straight a student? No need for that at all. No need. Sun Hua smiled lightly and said, I can get full marks for such a simple question even with my eyes closed. Although he can't guarantee the exact score, but in front of the younger brothers, he must maintain the demeanor of a student. Full score. For a time, everyone was stunned. It is undeniable that the test questions of this national competition are indeed much simpler than the previous test questions. But it's not without difficulty. The last geometric equation is still very difficult, and many academic masters fail on this question. But Sun Hua didn't. He got full marks. Brother Sun deserves to be Brother Sun. He is still so awesome. It's Qin Luo who dares to compare with our grandson. He is looking for a dead end. Brother Sun, are you free tonight? Can you make up for me? Hearing the flattery in his ear, Sun Hua smiled lightly, raised his eyebrows, and said, I'll talk about making up lessons later. I've been focusing on Zhou's conjecture lately. Then tomorrow's national decision. It's just a national decision. It's a trivial matter. After all, Sun Hua turned and left without the slightest bit of nostalgia. Guojue is no longer in his eyes, and his goal is Zhou's conjecture that has troubled the mathematics world. Immediately, the audience was silent, and there was no sound. Not only the members of the Central China team, but also some students from Yinqing University around them all stared wide-eyed. But after a while, the cafeteria burst into laughter. How old is Sun Hua? He is still a high school student. Can he prove Zhou's conjecture? Thinking about it is a fantasy. You little brat, do you know what Zhou's conjecture is? That's right. Do you really think of yourself as a genius? Who among the people sitting here is not a winner of the national competition? At Yanda, the most indispensable thing is genius. Classmate, how far have you proved? The overwhelming ridicule swept toward Sun Hua. Sun Hua stopped for a while and smiled faintly. According to the distribution law of Mersenne prime numbers, it is proved that 2n. After speaking, he walked away with his head held high. His voice was not loud, but it reached everyone's ears. Quiet, deathly quiet. The entire Yanda dining hall fell silent in an instant, and a group of Yanda geniuses opened their eyes wide and couldn't believe their ears. The person who reacted quickly had already thrown off the dinner plate, picked up a pen and paper, and began to check the calculations. The crisp sound of writing filled the entire cafeteria. Damn it! Mersenne primes can actually be used to prove Zhou's conjecture. That kid can actually solve this step. High school student, proving Zhou's conjecture, genius. For a while, everyone was amazed. High school students who are only 17 or 8 years old have already begun to contact academic issues, and they have flexibly used Mersenne prime numbers to push the proof of Zhou's conjecture a lot further. It's amazing enough. It seems that the champion of this national final is none other than him. Not to mention the national finals, I think it is possible for him to win the IMO championship. The embarrassing ending of IMO without a championship for 3 years will be broken. There is no shortage of geniuses in Yanda, and it can even be said that there are geniuses everywhere, but at this moment, they all express their admiration for Sun Hua. There is no other reason. Sun Hua is stronger than them. The next day, perhaps because yesterday's test questions were relatively simple, today's atmosphere was much more relaxed. The students of each representative team were talking and laughing, and they couldn't feel the tense atmosphere of the national finals at all. How many points are you going to get today? Lin Shanshan raised her face and looked at Qin Luo with a smile. But after he finished speaking, he regretted it. Isn't this asking nonsense? And he asked for a blow. 670, Qin Luo replied. Lin Shanshan. Huang Xing. Crowd. Everyone stared at Qin Luo blankly. Why didn't these words seem to come from Qin Luo's mouth? Qin Luo, what's your situation? Boss, are you being modest? If you have a fever, go to the infirmary immediately. Lin Shanshan said. It was a rare time to be humble, but was said to have a fever. Qin Luo felt helpless. Qin Luo shrugged and smiled. Just like the law of energy conservation, the difficulty is equal. The first half of the test questions are easy, which means that the second half will be difficult. You must be mentally prepared. I should not be nervous. You should be nervous. An exam with a score of up to 80 points is not easy to think about with your butt. As a god of learning, he is not nervous at all. But as a scumbag, why should they relax? Can you still talk and play well? Being bullied again and again, Lin Shanshan was about to explode. If Qin Luo wasn't a teammate, he would be a dead man by now. Student master value plus 54. 6710. Student Qin is too unconfident. At the same time, Sun Hua walked to the entrance of the examination room and suddenly heard Qin Luo's voice in his ears, so he immediately turned around and walked towards Qin Luo. I'm just pretending to be aggressive, but you think it's humility. Qin Luo shrugged his shoulders with a smile and said with a smile on his face, I heard that the Zhou's conjecture studied by student Sun has made new progress. The corner of Sun Hua's mouth curled up, his face full of disdain. Why are you afraid? Afraid? That's not the case. I just want to say a word to Sun. Come on, I'll wait for you at the finish line. After finishing speaking, Qin Luo walked into the examination room with his head held high. Waiting for me at the finish line? The complacency on Sun Hua's face disappeared in an instant, replaced by an extremely gloomy expression. Qin Luo actually ignored himself so much. Damn it, I'll make sure you look good in the second half. Same as yesterday's exam. At 9.45, candidates entered the venue. It's just that it's different from yesterday's exam. The exam time has been adjusted. The second half will last from 10:04 a.m. to -frowny-face-p.m. Exam time, nearly 6 hours. At 9.55, The invigilator distributes test papers and draft paper. There is only one test paper, but there are as many as 15 draft papers. One question, 15 pieces of draft paper. The title is very simple. Please prove the Poincare conjecture. In a three-dimensional space, if every closed curve can shrink to a point, then this space must be a three-dimensional sphere. Poincare conjecture. When the topic was announced, everyone was stunned. The Poincare conjecture is one of the 7 major problems of the millennium, and even the International Number Federation offers a reward of $100 million to anyone who solves this problem. Unfortunately, no one has solved the answer in the past 10 years. It is such a problem that has plagued the mathematics world for more than 10 years, and it turned out to be an exam question in the second half of the national competition. Stupid. Continue to be confused, completely dumbfounded. No one thought that a simple national competition would turn out like this. Teacher, aren't you playing with us? No, I need a ventilator. Mom, I'm retiring. For a while, there were complaints in the examination room. Poincare guessed that this problem was not something a group of high school students could solve. Poincare conjecture? The corner of Qin Luo's mouth twitched wildly. He had a premonition that the topic would be difficult, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult. I looked at the value of Xueba. My inventory was 18,331 points, and I didn't know if it was enough to solve the problem. The rapid death of the host's brain cells is detected, and the system automatically generates a solution, which consumes 10,000 Xueba points, an ability value-added card, and the first stage is released. 10,000 points plus an ability value-added card to unlock the first stage. How difficult is this? However, after thinking about it, Qin Luo gritted his teeth and pressed the OK button. He must win this championship. Ding! The host uses a value-added card, consumes 10,000 Xueba points, and the system automatically generates an answer. With a clear reminder, Qin Luo only felt his mind clear, and the world-class problem in front of him was slowly being resolved. Before he had time to think about it, Qin Luo quickly picked up the gel pen and began to write. And when Please was busy solving the problem, at the door of the classroom, a group of national academicians were staring at it intently through the glass, talking and laughing. Hee, these little guys are confused. Look at Kid Qin, scratching his head. The Poincare conjecture is impossible to solve, even if you were a genius. Seeing Qin Luo scratching his ears and cheeks, they laughed out loud. Seeing the test paper in front of him, Sunhua was sweating profusely and trembling all over, with a hint of despair in his eyes. Poincare guessed that no one could answer it. Thinking of this, he turned his head and glanced at Qin Luo. Fuck. In the next second, he couldn't help but swear. What did he see? Qin Luo is writing furiously. This is impossible. Sunhua cried out in despair. Even he can't write. How can Qin Luo write? Right? Of course you can write. Because Qin Luo has a cheat and spent 10,000 points to learn mastery. Every time Qin Luo writes a stroke, his heart is bleeding. What is written here is not a number, nor a formula, but a little bit of learning master value, in that awesome value-added card. For half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, Qin Luo was still writing frantically, and it didn't mean to stop at all. As a mathematician who has been troubled for 100 years, there is no problem that can be proved so far. His difficulty can be imagined. This is only the first stage, and Qin Luo has already written 10 drafts. Slap! Qin Luo put down the pen and raised his head and said, "Teacher, I need draft paper." Silence, deadly silence. For a while, everyone in the classroom was stunned. Someone ran out of scratch paper. How can this be? Not only the candidates were dumbfounded, but even the invigilator was dumbfounded. This is the Poincare conjecture. Looking at the scene in front of him, Sunhua sneered secretly in his heart, relying on his intuition. He felt that Qin Luo must be painting. "Student, scratch paper is not for drawing," said the invigilator. "I know," Qin Luo nodded. As for painting, he didn't take his time. Prove the Poincare conjecture, but it cost him a lot of money to get the answer. While the invigilator was still hesitating, an old man with gray hair walked in the door. Wang Xuetzai. He looked at Qin Luo and said with a gentle face, "Student, you can write as much as you want. The draft paper is enough." After that, he looked at the invigilator. "Go, get him 50 pieces of draft paper." Understood. The invigilator responded excitedly, then turned and walked towards the podium. Wang Xuetzai, that's an academician of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, a character who can't see the end of the dragon, but he actually appears here at this moment. It is self-evident to make a special trip to visit a participating student. Soon, a thick stack of draft paper was delivered to Qin Luo. As for who the old man in front of him was, he didn't care at all. The only thing he cares about now is whether he can solve the Poincare conjecture within an hour. "Come on, young man, I am optimistic about you," Wang Xuetzai said with a smile on his face, and then left the classroom. "Galoo." After a long while, a voice of spitting broke the silence of the classroom. Wang Xuetzai, an academician of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, is actually optimistic about Qin Luo. My God, he can't actually solve the Poincare conjecture. Impossible! That is a difficult problem that has stumped the mathematics world for 100 years. Besides this possibility, can you think of other possibilities? For a while, the invigilators in the classroom exclaimed one after another. Ding! The doubts of the scumbags are the driving force for the top students to move forward, and the host top students are worth plus 12. Ding! The doubts of the scumbags are the driving force for the top students to move forward, and the host top students are worth plus 9. Hey, can this also increase the value of learning master? The corner of Qin Luo's mouth twitched, and he looked at everyone in embarrassment. He was wondering if he should do the questions a little slower, so that the scumbags would spend more time questioning. Damn it, it's impossible. Seeing the gel pen in Qin Luo's hand shaking rapidly, Sun Hua's eyes almost popped out. At this moment, he couldn't even move his pen, but Qin Luo was writing vigorously. He wished he could find a crack in the ground and get in. Ding! The doubts of the scumbags are the driving force for the top students to move forward, and the host top students are worth plus 88. The sudden increase in the number made Qin Luo's eyelids twitch. Sun Hua. Qin Luo turned his head, looked towards a corner, and grinned. I said, I will wait for you at the end. Host mastery plus 188. Not bad. Teacher. Student. Have you run out of draft paper again? I want to drink water. Drink water? I think you don't want to take the exam, Sun Hua sneered. Coke or Sprite? The invigilator said. Coke. The invigilator nodded and took out his mobile phone. Second teacher 102, a bottle of Coke. Can I still drink water? Everyone's eyes lit up. Teacher, I want to drink water too. Drink water? What kind of water to drink? Do you still want to take the exam? Sun Hua. Crowd. The examination room is in full swing, and there is no more room outside the examination room. Reporters from all walks of life have already been waiting at the entrance of the examination room with long guns and short cannons. From the moment the exam started, the topic of the national final was no longer a secret. Poincare conjectured that it was one of the 7 major problems in the millennium. This is enough to stimulate the nerves of every media. Look, isn't that Wang Xuetzai from the Chinese Academy of Sciences? Why is he here? A reporter pointed the camera in his hand at Wang Xuetzai, who had just walked out of the examination room. Who was next to him? Zhou Haizhong, Song Baohua. Grass, what are these academic leaders doing here? Looking at the 3 old men walking out slowly, the reporters were dumbfounded. Yanda, one of the best universities in China, is not a big surprise to see academicians here. But seeing 3 in a row is a big deal. With their keen intuition, they felt that something big was going to happen here. The kid surnamed Qin is a freak. Wang Xuetzai said with lingering fear. What's the situation? He is proving the Poincare conjecture. Zhou Haizhong asked. Well, he's proving the non-local collapse theorem. He opened his mouth, but Zhou Haizhong couldn't speak. If the proof of Poincare is divided into 3 steps, then proving the non-local collapse theorem is the first step. If Qin Luo can prove the non-local collapse theorem, it will take the Poincare conjecture a big step forward. This kid won't really prove the Poincare conjecture. Song Baogua, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke up. But no one could answer his question. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour. Ding! The bell for the end of the exam finally rang, and the 3 academicians all heaved a sigh of relief. Facing a big cow, who may solve the millennium problem at any time, they are under great pressure. What's even more frightening is that this big cow is a real high school student. A few minutes later, groups of students came out in small groups. The optimistic ones talked and laughed, while the pessimistic ones were downcast. Everyone in Southwest Province surrounded Qin Luo in the middle, and you said something to me. Hey, Qin Luo, how many points can you score? Lin Shanshan said with a smile. Poincaré conjectured that Qin Luo should not be able to solve one of the millennium problems. Thinking of everyone getting 0 points, Lin Shanshan felt an inexplicable excitement in her heart, feeling like a surf turned over and sang. Guess. Qin Luo shrugged his shoulders, his face full of indifference. 0 points. Lin Shanshan looked serious. Qin Luo, can you have some confidence in me? Guess again. Qin Luo's old face darkened. Isn't it 0 points? Nonsense. How could it be 0 points? Qin Luo corrected solemnly. Hey, just brag. You and I can prove the Poincaré conjecture. Lin Shanshan glared at Qin Luo, her eyes full of contempt. It's fine if you don't believe it. Anyway, the result will come out sooner or later. Qin Luo shrugged his shoulders and said calmly. In order to prove the Poincaré conjecture, he spent a lot of money. Seeing Qin Luo's confidence, Lin Shanshan felt a little apprehensive. Wait, you proved the Poincaré conjecture? Lin Shanshan asked tentatively with her beautiful eyes wide open. Of course no, Qin Luo continued after a pause. But a breakthrough has been opened, which proves the first stage. What first stage? I proved the non-local collapse theory. Qin Luo said. Collapse theorem, something. Everyone continued to be confused. Let's just say, how many points can you score? Can we win the first place? It's not a big problem to get a perfect score. Qin Luo said. Even in the first stage, the difficulty was beyond imagination. Qin Luo felt that as long as the marking teacher was not too harsh, he would definitely get a perfect score. Everyone took a deep look at Qin Luo, turned around, and left. Staying here is simply asking for a blow. Crossing the river and tearing down the bridge? No, the demolition of the bridge began before the river even crossed. Shaking his head, Qin Luo walked out of the examination room. Outside the examination room, reporters who had already been waiting for the battle immediately flocked. Student, what do you want to say? A reporter's microphone was aimed at a male student next to Qin Luo. The quality of the paper is very good. It is comfortable to hold in the hand. There is no color difference. The printing is clear, and the thickness is even. The answer sheet is as expected. It feels great. The attitude of the invigilator is also very good. The classroom is spacious and bright, and the climate is suitable. The candidates were very satisfied, and they all said that they would definitely come again next year. Reporter, another student who was stupid in the exam. Hello, classmate. I'm a reporter from Sina Literature. Can I ask you a question? Student, I heard that the test questions of this national final are to prove the Poincaré conjecture. What do you think about it? All the reporters changed their targets one after another and stopped Qin Luo. I don't think so. Qin Luo shook his head. Nothing. Shouldn't it be hard to complain? Why doesn't this kid play his cards according to the routine? Is it difficult? The reporter asked. Is it difficult? I think it's okay. Qin Luo said seriously. Cough, cough, cough. Classmate, that's Poincaré's conjecture. Yes, I know. Fortunately, he is not Goldbach's conjecture. Qin Luo showed a happy expression while speaking. Dumbfounded. Completely dumbfounded. Qin Luo's words confused him. What does it mean when you face Poincaré's conjecture with a happy expression? Thank you, classmate. The reporter said something to Qin Luo, then turned around and pointed the microphone at another student. In his heart, he had already classified Qin Luo as a scumbag. Hello, classmate. Difficult. It's really too difficult as reaching the sky. As he spoke, he actually shed tears. This is what a student should be like. The reporter suddenly became excited. He has even thought about the topic of the news. The most difficult national contest in history. Geniuses and masters are on par with zero. Qin Luo, is it so difficult? Marking room. Dozens of test papers have been neatly placed on the desk. Due to the difficulty of the Poincare conjecture, the marking work this time will be jointly completed by 3 academicians: Wang Xuebai, Song Baohua, and Zhou Haizhong. Let's begin. Following Wang Xuebai's order, Song Baohua and Zhou Haizhong picked up the test papers one after another. The speed of marking the papers is very fast. In the blink of an eye, there are only a handful of thick stacks of test papers. The reason is very simple. Most of the test papers are blank papers, and they don't need to read them at all. These 2 papers are interesting. Suddenly, Wang Xuebai laughed loudly. Who? Qin Luo, Tsinghua High School. Oh Yilin, Central China Normal University High School, Sunhua. Oh Yilin, I know that a rare genius of Chinese-European mixed race is especially sensitive to mathematics. As for Sunhua, he doesn't know much about it. Song Baohua continued. Why? They proved the Poincare conjecture. It proves that it's not enough, but they have found the entry point. Wang Xuebai said while marking a score on the test paper. 13 points, 20 points. Sunhua 13, Oh Yilin 20. After a few more minutes, everyone put down the red pens in their hands and sat upright. At the moment, there is only 1 test paper and 40 or 50 pieces of draft paper left on the desk. Qin Luo, who will watch first? Wang Xuebai looked around. Quiet. The entire marking room was unusually quiet. In that case, I'll take the lead. After that, he had already picked up Qin Luo's test paper and looked at it carefully. When he saw that Qin Luo actually proved the non-local collapse theory and applied the collapse theorem to prove the Poincare conjecture, his breath suddenly became short of breath. Old Zhou, hurry up, my quick-acting conjecture. Bring the Jiuxin pill. Yes, it's in the briefcase. Zhou Haizhong hastily dug out the quick-acting Jiuxin pills, poured out a few pills, stuffed them into Wang Xuebai's mouth, and poured him a few mouthfuls of boiling water. Only then did Wang Xuebai's breathing calm down. Old Wang, what's the situation? Zhou Haizhong asked with concern. Wang Xuebai clutched his chest tightly with his right hand, slowly straightened his tongue, blushed and swears. Percent and fuck. This kid Qin Luo won't write something that shouldn't be written, right? Thinking of this, Zhou Haizhong and Song Baohua quickly picked up the test papers on the table, just glanced at them, and they were shocked. Old Wang, where's your quick-acting heart-rescuing pill? Give me a few pills. I'm a little out of breath. And me, my fucking chest is cramped. 1 pill for you, 1 pill for me, and the whole bottle of Jiuxin pills will bottom out in an instant. Xiao Zhang, bring the Su Xiao Jiuxin pills from my drawer. Take 3 bottles. Wang Xuebai roared loudly. Soon, the assistant Xiao Zhang walked in with the heart-saving pill. After taking the Jiuxin pill, Wang Xuebai immediately unscrewed the cap and poured a mouthful into his mouth. That's right, just 1 bite. I'm afraid I won't be able to save him without him. During the entire marking process, they almost relied on the heart-saving pills to survive. With a sound of snap, they slammed the test paper on the desk. It turns out that the Poincare conjecture can be proved in this way. The back waves of the Yangtze River pushed the front waves, and the front waves died on the beach. Qin Luo was murder. Tell me, what do they eat to grow up in this generation? Why are their brains so good? The 3 academicians leaned back and slumped on the chair like this, gradually losing their expression in their deep eyes. After a long while, everyone's spirits recovered. How to score this point? I suggest direct full marks. Zhou Haizhong raised his hand and said, although Qin Luo didn't prove the Poincare conjecture, he has taken the conjecture forward a big step forward. This kind of contribution deserves full marks. Old Song, what about you? Is the full score too much? After all, Qin Luo didn't prove it, so it's inevitable that people will be stunned. Song Baohua frowned. The title of this question is very simple. It is to prove the Poincare conjecture. Qin Luo got full marks without proof. After all, Qin Luo is just a high school student. and his mind is not as mature as imagined. Old song. I think you are too forward-thinking. I want to see which media dares to speak nonsense, if there is. Don't blame me, Zhou Haizhong, for being rude. Zhou Haizhong laughed loudly. That's right, if something happens, we old men will take care of it. That's good. Unanimously agree with full marks. Wang Xuetzai slapped the table and said loudly. In the early morning 2 days later, the sun shone through the smog to the land of Yanjing. An important day is ushering in the campus of Yanda University. The results of today's national final will be announced on the official website. At -o'clock in the morning, the national final results query system open on time, and you only need to enter the admission ticket number and ID card number to query. In the 503 dormitory of the 7th building, at this moment, Qin Luo and other contestants are gathering together, waiting for the announcement of the final results. The score inquiry system for the national finals has been opened. Please log into your account to check your scores. Whoa! In the dormitory of the 4-person room, 2 of them jumped up. Huang Xing Gong Yi. Although they already had the answer to their grades in their hearts, their little hearts still beat wildly when the system was activated. What if the marking teacher can give 2 cents of ink money? Click on the web page, enter the admission ticket and ID card, and the scores will appear on the paper. Huang Xing, 2 points. He, it really is ink money. Gong Yi, 0 points. Knowing money. Lin Shanshan, 5 points. Lin Shanshan's brows were beaming instantly. Fatty Gong Yi shot out a ray of light in his eyes. 2 points, 0 points, 5 points, plus Qin Luo's points, plus the good points in the first half before, let him see the dawn of the championship. Maybe he could really become a team champion. The premise is that Qin Luo scored a good score, at least 10 or more. Boss, what are you looking at? He looked at Qin Luo. I'm looking at the distant America. Gong Yiqiang resisted the twitching of the corner of his mouth and continued to ask, Don't you check your score? You can check for me. Qin Luo threw down the admission ticket and ID card and pushed the door out. Refresh the page and enter the number. The next moment, Gong Shi's eyes went dark, and he fell to the ground with a plop. I need quick-acting, heart-rescuing pills. Qin Luo, 80 points. See full marks for full marks. And it was still in the national finals, facing world-class problems such as the Poincaré conjecture. What's the situation? Huang Xing came over, picked up the phone, plopped, his feet went limp, and fell to his knees. Jiayuk Sinwen. I want Jiayuk Sinwen. In an instant, in the dormitory for 4 people, there was only 1 person who was still panting. This is so scary, right? Lin Shanshan carefully walked around the limp 2 on tiptoe and ran toward the pharmacy. Boss, give me quick-acting heart-rescuing pills. 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. Drugstore inventories are running low. Seeing the scene of Bai Chong running fast with the pills in hand, the middle-aged boss shook his head and took out the phone from his pocket. Hey, is the pharmaceutical company? Send me 100 bottles of Su Xiao Jiuxin pills. What's the reason? The smog got worse. Brother Sun, have you checked your score? Brother Sun, how many points did you score? In the dormitory of the Huazhong representative team, Sun Hua was full of pride. He just checked his score, and his score in the second half was as high as 13 points. In exams where 90% of people get 0 marks. His score is already outstanding, and it is almost impossible for anyone to have a higher score than him. Moreover, according to his information, up to now, there is only 1 person with higher scores than him, and her name is Zhou Yilin. Qin Luo, let him swim in the pile of salted fish. No matter how much you write, what's the use? Scoring points is the last word. I made a mistake and only scored 13 points. Sun Hua said lightly. Misplay. 13 points. For a moment, everyone was stunned. It was obvious how difficult the exam questions in the second half were, but Sun Hua managed to score dash points for such difficult questions. You know, even in the entire national finals, there are no more than 5 people who can score more than 10 points. Brother Sun, you are really our idol. Brother Sun, my English is not good, so you have to cover me during this trip to the United States. Boss, please drink tea. He happily picked up the teacup, and Sun Hua took a shallow sip. Ding! The list of national final results has been announced. Please pay attention to check. At this moment, everyone's mobile phones rang again. They knew that the total score of the national finals had finally been calculated. The high school affiliated to Yanda University scored 115 points in total, of which O Yilin scored 40 points, 20 points in the first half, and an amazing 20 points in the second half. The Huazhong representative team scored 97 points in total, of which Sun Hua scored 33 points. The Southwest provincial team scored 172 points, of which Qin Luo scored 100 points. Full marks. How is it? Are we number one? Sun Hua asked confidently. The team members swallowed their saliva in unison and said with ashen faces, "Brother Sun, something happened. Not to mention the first. They are not even the second. Problem occurs? Oilin? Show me." He took the mobile phone from his companion and glanced at it lightly. Slap! There was a sound of a heavy object falling to the ground, and the teacup in his hand instantly shattered. How is this possible? He could hardly believe his eyes. Among the many 0 points, a name stands out like a standout from the crowd. Qin Luo scored 100 points, another perfect score. Sun Hua was about to go crazy. It took less than a minute for him to be thrown into the abyss from when he satirized Qin Luo with full confidence. Impossible. How could Qin Luo get a perfect score? Sun Hua's face was full of ferocity, and a crimson light burst out from his pupils, bloodthirsty and terrifying. Why did Qin Luo get full marks? It would be fine if it was an ordinary test question, but now it is the Poincaré conjecture, one of the millennium problems, which has stumped countless top mathematicians. How could Qin Luo prove it? Brother Sun, do you think there is something tricky about it? That's right. There must be something wrong here. Qin Luo can never get full marks. No, we have to ask. Sun Hua's face was as sinking as water, and his eyes flickered with coldness. It is true that he also thinks there is a problem here, but this is the national final, the most serious math league in China. So how could there be a problem? Boom! At this moment, the door of the dormitory was pushed open, and Song Xiaodong walked in with a dark face. He looked around, and then said to Sun Hua, "Follow me." After all, Song Xiaodong turned around and left without stopping at all. Qin Luo, full marks. He had to discuss this matter with the organizing committee. The Poincaré conjecture can never be proven. In the central auditorium, preparations for the upcoming award ceremony are in full swing. As the award presenters, Wang Xuetzai, Song Baohua, and Zhou Haizhong walked slowly towards the auditorium. This award ceremony can be said to be held specially for Qin Luo. Suddenly, a large group of people rushed in. Most of them were leading teachers for various places. They rushed to the host in a hurry. "President Fong, we need an explanation. How can someone get full marks? The Poincaré conjecture can never be proved by a high school student. Teacher Fong, we don't accept this result." Fong Ming, the president of the Huaxia Mathematics Association, is in charge of the mathematics competitions in various regions of China. At the same time, he is also the dean of the Department of Mathematics of Yanda University. "Why are you arguing? If there is anything noisy, please be quiet," Fong Ming shouted loudly. "President Fong, we need an explanation. What qualifications does Qin Luo have to get full marks?" Song Xiaodong asked in a muffled voice, suppressing the anger in his heart. Explanation? A faint smile appeared on Fong Ming's face, and he said, "You shouldn't ask me for this question. You should ask Academician Wang." "That Academician Wang? Which Academician Wang?" "Academician Wang Xuetzai. Academician Song Baohua Song. Academician Zhou Haizhong Zhou." Fong Ming said flatly. "Wang Xuetzai, Song Baohua, Zhou Haizhong. Who are these three people?" "Three academicians of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, a leading figure in the academic world. Song Xiaodong is just the president of a branch of the Mathematics Association. What qualifications do he have to ask them?" "President Fong, what the hell is going on?" Song Xiaodong's face was a little ugly. He never expected that many Chinese academicians would be involved. They're the ones who are in charge of marking the examination papers this time. "What? Song Xiaodong and the other teachers froze in place. Normally, the marking work would be handed over to the teachers of Yanda University or graduate students to mark the papers, which is why he concluded that there was a problem. But this time, the competition organizing committee was uncharacteristically, and a group of academicians from Huaxia personally checked the papers. Those who can be called academicians are all outstanding academics. They combine ability and fame. Who can tell me what's going on? Song Xiaodong was a little dizzy. National academicians personally mark the examination papers. Not to mention in the Shulian, it has never appeared in so many examinations in the history of China. You ask me, who should I ask? Fang Ming glanced at him lightly, his face full of disdain. The original plan was for Yanda teachers and some graduate students to jointly mark the papers. But on the eve of the national finals, Fang Ming suddenly received a notice from Wang Xuecai that Wang Xuecai and 2 other academicians would jointly mark the papers for this competition. Even he, the president of the Mathematical Association, didn't know the reason. Suddenly, the corner of Fang Ming's eyes drifted past the door, and Wang Xuecai and others appeared in his sight. Teacher Wang, Academician Zhou, Academician Song. Confused, continue to be confused, seeing the 3 Mount Tai of academia slowly approaching. Song Xiaodong's body completely stayed in place. There are so many people, what's going on? Wang Xuecai glanced over the menacing crowd with displeasure in his eyes. It was an occasion for celebration, but these people made it look like a trial court. It's like this. Fang Ming hurriedly narrated the incident to Wang Xuecai briefly. Knowing the cause and effect, Wang Xuecai's face darkened suddenly. He glanced around sharply and said loudly, "Why full marks? The reason is very simple. If any of you can prove the non-local collapse theorem and open a new gap for the proof of the Poincare conjecture, then you can also get full marks." Wang Xuecai's voice echoed throughout the auditorium, roaring in everyone's minds. OM. Song Xiaodong felt his eyes go dark, and his mind was buzzing. "This is impossible," he shouted frantically in his heart. "Wang Yuan, you mean that Qin Luo proved the non-local collapse theorem?" Song Xiaodong asked with a confused face. "That's right." Wang Xuecai nodded and said, "We have written his answer sheet into a paper and sent it to Princeton. I believe it will not be long. It will appear in mathematics journals." Wang Xuecai, Song Baogua, Zhou Haizhong, and the 3 academicians personally revised the paper. If it is said that he still had doubts before, but now, with Wang Xuecai's affirmative answer, the trace of doubt in his heart has already disappeared. Qin Luo, he really proved the non-local collapse theory. At this moment, Song Haidong's face was ashamed, and the living reality gave him a heavy slap. Standing behind Song Xiaodong, Sun Hua's face was pale, and his whole body shook violently as if being electrocuted. Plop! The next second his legs gave way, his body staggered, and he fell directly to the ground. Not only did he lose, but he also lost miserably. It can be said that he suffered a crushing defeat. Once upon a time, he was eager to provoke Qin Luo and despised Qin Luo. But now, those provocative words are like knives, piercing his heart one by one, making him unable to breathe in pain. He still can't figure out why Qin Luo is so good. Ding! The host's knowledge stunned everyone. The mastery value plus 154. Ding! The host's knowledge stunned everyone. The mastery value plus 288. Ding! The host's knowledge stunned everyone. The mastery value plus 214. Qin Luo, who was walking halfway, was completely confused by this series of prompts. He was notified to attend the final awards ceremony of the national finals, but just as he was halfway there, a series of prompts came from the system. In just a few seconds, the Xueba value soared by more than 2,000 points. And most of them are names of unknown people. What's the matter? Qin Luo looked around blankly, but there was nothing unusual. What's happening here? He is confused. Ding! Deline's exclamation was detected. The mastery of Ho science is plus 9,999. Qin Luo's legs went limp, and he fell to the ground. What's going on? Feng Huadong smiled lightly. The legs are a little soft, Qin Luo said. A sneer flashed in everyone's eyes. Where did they go? And they couldn't walk steadily. Haha, funny. Feng Huadong even secretly laughed. For a long time, Qin Luo gave him the impression that he was young and mature, and being with him was like being an academician of the Academy of Sciences. But now, he suddenly saw Qin Luo's innocent side. However, they didn't know that Qin Luo was not because he was going to receive the award, but because he was shocked by the system's prompt. 99.99, my God, am I right? So far, the highest value Qin Luo has received is only 999, but now it is 9,999. He once suspected that the system had typed an extra 9. Get rich overnight. No, get rich in a second. It only took 1 second for Qin Luo to transform from a poor pauper into a wealthy local tyrant. Also, who is this Deline? I do not know. After about half a minute, Qin Luo slowly stood up from the ground. Qin Luo, don't be scared, it's just IMO. It's a piece of cake for you. Feng Huadong patted Qin Luo's shoulder heavily and said with a smile, Don't worry, I will go with you. Teacher Feng is right. Don't be afraid, big brother. We'll go together too. Boss, I heard that the coffee in the United States is good, and I will pass you coffee then. Afraid? Am I a scared person? Qin Luo held back her mouth, turned her head to look at Feng Huadong, and asked casually, Teacher Feng, do you know who Deline is? Deline. Feng Huadong was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Qin Luo to ask such a question. Professor Deline's resume can't be finished even if he talks about it for 3 days and 3 nights. Professor of Princeton University, well known in the academic world, the disciples he taught cover all fields of mathematics. Feng Huadong said like a treasure. Why? Are you interested in him? Ask whatever you want. Princeton? Qin Luo muttered, then turned and walked towards the school auditorium. Boom! Qin Luo pushed open the door of the auditorium. The next moment, one after another's eyes were like laser beams, shining in comparison. Burning heat, resentment, and a trace of resentment. Ben Xueba wanted to keep a low profile, but his strength didn't allow it. Qin Luo pulled the hem of his clothes and strode into the auditorium with his head held high. Qin Luo walked forward slowly as if reviewing troops, and from time to time greeted the students next to him. Hello, classmate, I am Qin Luo. That's right, that's the only perfect score. Come on, classmate, I'll wait for you at the finish line. What is Sawbao? This is called Sawbao. But by chance, other people have the qualifications to show off. For a moment, everyone was angry. Ding! Host mastery value plus 11. Ding! Host mastery value plus 45. Qin Luo was delighted. Under the scarlet eyes of everyone, Qin Luo stepped onto the podium. Student Qin Luo, some people say that the national final test questions are very difficult, and those who can solve the answers are perverts. What do you want to say about this? A handsome hostess asked. Is it difficult? I think it's very simple. Qin Luo didn't even think about it and said directly, just look at it, and you can figure it out. Squeak, squeak. A series of gnashing of teeth sounded from the audience. The host was quite embarrassed, but as a professional host of the broadcasting department, she still resisted the urge to kick Qin Luo and continued to ask. Student Qin has opened a door for the Poincare conjecture, and I will continue to analyze it next. Go down. No need. Qin Luo smiled lightly and said, My next goal is gold box conjecture. Classmate, can you play the cards according to the routine? The host was stunned, and even the students in the audience were like wooden figures, with their mouths wide open, but unable to speak. They knew that Qin Luo could play, but they never expected that he could play so well. He wasn't afraid of blowing the roof of the auditorium off either. Even Wang Xuetzai and other academic experts couldn't help twitching the corners of their mouths and sweating all over their faces. There's nothing wrong with Qin Luo. It's just his mouth that scares people to death. The host was sweating profusely, so she decided to change her routine and play her cards. Congratulations, classmate Qin Luo, as the first ever winner of the national final with full marks. What do you want to say to everyone? Say something to everyone. After taking the microphone, Qin Luo thought about it seriously and said loudly, "Do I hate it?" The auditorium was completely silent. "Sun Hua, tell me," Qin Luo asked, pointing to an old acquaintance not far away. "Hate it." Sun Hua gritted his teeth and said sharply, "Even if he loses, he has nothing to fear. Want to step on me?" "Nonsense," Sun Hua said through gritted teeth. If possible, he would like to tear Qin Luo into pieces. "Very good." Qin Luo nodded contentedly and said, "Please keep your anger, because this is the driving force for me to move forward." It was as if a pause had been taken, and the entire auditorium was silent. Everyone stared at Qin Luo with wide eyes. Arrogant, too arrogant. They have seen many arrogant people, but they have never seen such arrogant ones. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted loudly, "I understand. Xueba, you are encouraging us." "Yes, it must be so. Xueba, we will definitely live up to your expectations and surpass you." All of a sudden, excited voices came and went, and Qin Luo, who was the person involved, was directly confused. Conscience of heaven and earth. He didn't mean to motivate them at all. He just wanted to pretend to be tough and squeeze some points. But he never expected that things would go far beyond his expectations. Ahem, let me repeat again, this is not an incentive, it is a fact. Qin Luo resisted the twitching of the corner of his mouth and said solemnly, "Scholar, stop talking, we all understand. You know what a fart. You don't understand anything." Qin Luo opened his mouth, speechless. Ding, the knowledge of the host has conquered all the scumbags, and the mastery value is plus 56. Student master value plus 87. Qin Luo heaved a long sigh of relief after a few hundred points of learning hegemony value entered into the account. No matter how small the mosquito legs are, they are still meat. Qin Luo is not picky about food. Damn it, looking at the scene in front of him, Sun Hua's lungs were about to explode. He really couldn't figure it out. Qin Luo was clearly pretending to be coercive. He is obviously so hateful, but many contestants seem to be obsessed, and they are convinced by him. His face became more and more gloomy, as if water was about to drip out. Let's see how long you can be proud. When I prove Zhou's conjecture, Sun Hua sneered in his heart. The national judgment has completely failed, and IMO is completely insulated from it. Now his only chance is to prove Zhou's conjecture. An imperfect proof of Poincaré's theory is never as good as a perfect proof of a conjecture. Dang dang. At this moment, the door of the auditorium was roughly pushed open, and a man wearing gold-rimmed glasses hurried in. He is about 30 years old, wearing a sportswear, red face. "Teacher," Princeton has replied. He blushed and held up the envelope in his hand. Princeton replied, "Princeton University." For a moment, everyone was full of doubts. Could it be that Yanda and Princeton are making another big move? Everyone was confused, but Wang Xuetzai and others were extremely excited. Others don't know what Princeton stands for, but they know it clearly. "Show me quickly." Wang Xuetzai strode forward and grabbed the envelope in the young man's hand. "Princeton University," Professor Deline sent. Tear open the cover, and what is wrapped inside is a journal of mathematics. Math journals. Wang Xuetzai's eyes widened suddenly, and even his body began to tremble violently. Journal of Mathematics is the top and most authoritative mathematics journal in the world because its publisher is Princeton University. His editor-in-chief was Professor Deline. Every paper and every theory published on it needs to pass the review of Deline. Being able to publish a paper on it is the dream of countless mathematicians. Zhou Haizhong swallowed and said slowly, "Maybe Qin Shuesen's question will be answered today." Qin Shuesen's question. Everyone who heard this was shocked, and after a while, they were extremely puzzled. What kind of outstanding person can answer Qian Laoji's question? It's not Qin Luo, is it? How is it possible? That is a mathematics journal. Last time I heard that Wang Yuan was doing a second derivation of Mersenne prime numbers. I think it's probably him. Both teachers and students are talking about it. Not caring about everyone's comments, Wang Xuetzai carefully opened the journal. To be honest, he was a little worried. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. He was afraid that it would be nothing in the end. Trinity cubic equation conjecture. Arguments for the Riemann hypothesis. One after another. Papers on Zhou's conjecture still haven't appeared. It's a theorem if you turn it over again. Mathematics journals are divided into two parts. The first half is to demonstrate some conjectures, and the second half is to elaborate some definite theorems. Wang Xuezai felt apprehensive and scrolled down. From conjecture to theorem, Zhou's theorem. Slap! Wang Xuezai's hands softened, and a mathematics journal fell down. His face was flushed, and there were tears in his deep eyes. One day, they finally saw someone who could answer Qian Laoji's question. What's the situation with Lao Wang? Zhou Haizhong hurriedly picked up the periodicals on the ground. If there is anyone who is most anxious right now, it must be Zhou Haizhong. As the proposer of Zhou's conjecture, he is the most nervous person. Zhou's theorem, the first theorem named after a Chinese. Congratulations, old Zhou. Thank you, Zhou Haizhong burst into tears. My conjecture has finally been proven. As the proposer of the conjecture, he is also the prover and the pioneer. But the failure to prove it again and again made him think of giving up. But now, the conjecture has finally been proven, and the person who proved him was still a third-year student in high school. While Zhou Haizhong was shocked, he was even more grateful. He was fortunate that China produced such an outstanding student and scientist as Qin Luo. Zhou's conjecture proved? For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Zhou Haizhong's words made them a little confused. What the hell is going on? Zhou's conjecture proved. Zhou's conjecture proved? Someone asked in the crowd. Mathematical journals, headlines on the front page. Zhou Haizhong raised the magazine in his hand and said loudly, Silence, deadly silence. In the huge school auditorium, no one spoke. They stared at Zhou Haizhong with wide eyes. The first theorem named after the Chinese mathematics community. After a brief immersion, the scene suddenly became excited. Yuan Zhou, who is it? Who proved Zhou's conjecture? Is it a Chinese or a foreigner? Zhou Haizhong smiled faintly, glanced across the crowd, and said loudly, He is far away from the horizon, and he is right in this auditorium. Among us, everyone looked left and right, trying to find the cow hidden in the crowd. But before everyone found him, Zhou Haizhong smiled faintly and said again, Qin Luo, thank you. Thank you for helping me fulfill my long-cherished wish. Boom! The moment Zhou Haizhong finished speaking, there were screams in the auditorium. Nearly half of the people fell to the ground in fright. They thought it was Zhou Haizhong, Wang Xuezai, Song Baohua, or even anyone in the mathematics world. But even if he was thinking about it, he never thought that the person who finally proved Zhou's conjecture was actually Qin Luo. You know, he's a high school student. In his grade, it should be the grade for playing games and picking up girls. But Qin Luo has already proved Zhou's conjecture. The devil, he's the devil. Impossible, I don't believe it. Qin Luo, how could he prove Zhou's conjecture? Sun Hua's face was ashen. His eyes revealed deep despair, and his whole body was trembling uncontrollably. Until this moment, he finally knew why Qin Luo would say, I am waiting for you at the end. Because he has already proved Zhou's conjecture long ago, and has passed Professor Deline's argument in Princeton. In the face of everyone's doubts, Zhou Haizhong was not angry. He had expected that such a scene would appear. He beckoned to the students around him. Project him on the screen. Soon, an article came into view. Mathematics Journal number 78, Part 2, Page Esh, a proof of Zhou's conjecture. At the end of the paper, there's also a list of reviewers' comments on the article. This is a perfect and groundbreaking paper. Zhou's conjecture can be demonstrated, which has advanced significance for the analysis of Mersenne prime numbers. Professor Deline, Princeton University. Genius can always capture the fleeting inspiration. Mr. Qin, congratulations. Johns Hopkins University. A series of comments almost occupied the entire length of the article, among which was the famous editor, Professor Deline. Whether he is in academia or in the Princeton classroom, he is famous for his poisonous tongue. He will never allow any mistakes to appear. If there are any, he will point them out on the spot without mercy. However, at this moment, Deline didn't have the slightest problem with Qin Luo's article, and even used the word perfect to describe it, which only appeared twice in Deline's editing career. The first time was Terence Tao, the winner of the Fields Medal. The second time was Qin Luo, a senior student at Beishan-No-Middle School. Bang! There was another loud bang, and there were only a handful of people in the auditorium who could stand upright. Even Feng Huadong, the president of the Southwest Digital Federation Association, had trembling legs. In fact, he had guessed Qin Luo's strength a long time ago. But guessing is one thing. Witnessing it with his own eyes is another. The impact brought to him by the latter is not the same as that of the former. Until now, his mind is buzzing. Professor Deline's perfect evaluation. Front page headlines of mathematical journals. Sun Hua only felt that the anger in his heart was like a volcano about to erupt. How could this happen? With a loud roar, Sun Hua was furious. His eyes went dark, and he fell to the ground with a bang. Ding! Host mastery value increased by 588. I hope the host will continue to work hard and bravely climb the peak. Student Sun, how are you? Qin Luo rushed over. Actually, the process of proving Zhou's conjecture is very simple. I can teach you. Yu. Sun Hua's eyes darkened, and he passed out. Ding! The host mastery value has increased. Qin Luo. He never expected that Sun Hua would be so useless. Sun Hua was sent away, Lin Tianxin followed, and the students of the entire Central China team were ashamed to stay here. Once upon a time, they mocked Qin Luo unscrupulously, thinking that he was just a scumbag. But now, the scumbag has become a top student, and the shotgun has been replaced by a cannon. Others can shoot them casually and kill them to pieces. Qin Luo, as the prover of Zhou's conjecture and the hope of the mathematics world, let me tell you a few words. Zhou Haizhong forced the microphone into Qin Luo's hands. The hope of the mathematical community. Qin Luo took the microphone and laughed dryly. Old Zhou is serious. In fact, I am just standing on the shoulders of giants and taking a small step forward. The hope of the mathematics world is still far away. Damn it, Xueba is so humble. I'm done. All of a sudden, various voices sounded in the hall. A humble Xueba is the real Xueba, and the value of the host Xueba increases by plus 157. Who can tell me why the Xueba value came so quickly? Haha. Neither salty nor bland, neither light nor heavy, just right haha. Zhou Haizhong looked at Qin Luo like this and smiled. What does this sound mean? Qin Luo was a little confused. Seeing that Qin Luo didn't speak, Zhou Haizhong smiled and continued. There is one more thing I forgot to tell you. I once said that if someone can prove Zhou's conjecture, I will give a sum of money as a reward. Ahem, Zhou Yuan. Am I the kind of person who sees money? Qin Luo asked solemnly. How much? 50,000. Thank you, Yuan Zhou. I will definitely make persistent efforts to win the Goldbach conjecture. Qin Luo said. If there is no second half of the sentence, Zhou Haizhong will be very pleased, but now there are only 3 words left in Zhou Haizhong's unreliable. After the simple awards ceremony, everyone went back to their respective homes, each looking for their respective mothers. Qin Luo didn't stay too long and left the auditorium straight away. When going out, Qin Luo specially reminded Zhou Haizhong not to forget about the reward. This kid is a talent. Looking at Qin Luo's leaving back, Zhou Haizhong said with a smile. Wang Xuetzai sighed. This person is quite talented, but he has some utilitarianism. If utilitarianism can keep him moving forward on the path of mathematics, then I think there is nothing wrong with utilitarianism. Okay, I think you have to calm down when doing research. If he can devote himself to learning, he will definitely be in the World Hall of Fame in the future. Wang Xuetzai shook his head. Throughout the history of China, those who are eager for quick success usually do not achieve much in the end. Really? I don't think there is any conflict between utilitarianism and studying hard, Zhou Haizhong said with a smile. Now, this society is no longer the society that you and I used to be. Now that we can't even eat enough, who can afford it? Mine to learn. Wang Xuecai smiled, but did not answer. Although their methods are different, their purpose is also for Qin Luo's sake. Back in the lounge, Qin Luo thumped and flew onto the bed. He muttered the system silently in his heart, and when he opened his eyes again, a silver picture scroll appeared in front of his eyes. Host, Qin Luo. Mathematics, LV5. English, LV1. Language, LV1. History, LV1. Geography, LV1. Creature, LV1. Demonstrate Zhou's conjecture, prove the non-local collapse theorem, and the remaining Xueba value is 13,520 points. Mathematics is thriving, and the remaining few subjects have not improved. Qin Luo wondered if he should improve his English. After all, 2 weeks later, they will take an international flight to the United States to participate in the IMO. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if you couldn't even understand a sentence of English? But just when Qin Luo was about to press the upgrade button, the bedroom door was suddenly knocked open. Fatty Gongi appeared at the door. Boss Qin, you are hot. A group of reporters came downstairs. Fire?